Hey everybody, this is Emmy Thomas. I'm here with Cassie. Cassie, I'm going to ask you the question I ask everybody. What is it like to be you?
That's a great question. For me, having autism and ASPD is very lonely. So it's a very lonely existence.
Get it?
Okay, okay. Um, so yeah, like confusion. Recently I went on a date and I was just like utterly confused because I told him that uh physical attraction isn't necessary for me. And emotional attraction isn't necessary for me. I need a mental connection, and he didn't understand that. He thought I was calling him ugly when that's not the case. And it's crazy because like anyone would be like, well, we need an emotional connection, we need, physical connection, but I just need someone to like understand me in the way that I think, and that would turn me on more than a face.
Is that what you mean by like a mental connection? Is that they kind of are, do you need them to be on the same page with you? Like they also kind of think in similar ways, at least some of them, or is it just that they understand where you're coming from, I guess?
Just to understand where I'm coming from, to put my themselves in my shoes. They don't have to think the same as me or have even the same condition. I just need someone to not get offended
Mm.
because there's this stereotype of people with ASPD like wanting to, you know, hurt people. And I mean, like, it's not a stereotype, but like, obviously, if someone says, "Hey, do you want me to take you on a date?" Obviously, I don't want to hurt that person in any type of way. Complete opposite. I want them to like me. So so like
Yeah, like
when
why are you
they're
going? What I always wonder about that too. People like are like, oh, and do you think would you like to murder somebody? And it's like, I don't know, like why. But that's a really good point. Yeah, why would you be going on a date with somebody if you wanted to hurt them? But I guess people, I mean, people are gonna maybe counter with this and say, that they've dated somebody that hurt them who's like
Yeah,
sociopathic.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's when I try to explain to people, at least the people that I try to go on dates with. Just fun fact, I've never been on a second date. I've been on perpetual first dates, but never a second date.
Your whole life.
Um, yeah, and I'm 31 and I've never had a boyfriend.
Uh-huh.
So that has been affecting me, mentally, and just my self-esteem because like this one girl, she was like, "Oh, well, you have ASPD, so I don't believe anything you say on your channel." And I told her it's okay
Okay.
to not believe. Yeah, yeah. I was like, it's okay to not believe anything I say on my channel, but the two things that I, would never lie about is like SA, and like my status is like technically a female incel, because that's nothing to brag about. And then also, like, that is a turnoff for most men. Like, when I tell them about my trauma or when I tell them that I've never had a boyfriend, they automatically see that as a red flag. So it's not something that I would lie about.
Uh-huh. What
Yeah.
was the
So
first
it's
thing you
sad.
said that you would never lie about? And you said something like SA?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry. I don't mean for this to be like a dark, what is it called? Video. But yeah, I am a survivor of SA.
And SA is sexual abuse?
Sexual assault.
Oh, sexual
Yeah.
assault. Okay, I'm just like throwing out guess. I've heard it
Oh,
called SA.
yeah. I use abbreviations for YouTube because I know how strict they are with their guidelines.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Um, yeah. And then like there's some people that are like, oh, well, if you've been through SA, then like, why do you want a boyfriend? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, because I've only had negative experiences with men. Like I would
Mm-hmm.
like a positive experience with a man.
Yeah,
So yeah.
that's interesting. And so you said you started by saying lonely. So is there something about, let's say you did have like a mental kind of connection with somebody where you felt like they could kind of cognitively understand where you're coming from? That would feel less lonely to you?
Yes, that would feel a lot less lonely to me. I've had a few men like cognitively understand where I was coming from, but they thought that I wanted a relationship with them. And those guys I didn't want a relationship with. I just wanted to connect mentally because I met this other guy. His name is Zach, and I'm not going to say his full name, but you could probably guess his full name. And he had autism and ASPD also, and like I connected with him mentally, but like he always thought, can I use like cuss words?
I'm fine with it. I guess what
Okay,
is the worst that could happen is that this gets demonetized or something.
yeah, yeah. So like he always thought that I wanted to fuck him,
Uh-huh.
and towards the end of our relationship, we were drinking, and he got me really drunk, and he started like touching me, and
Mm,
I just was like sitting on my hands laughing because I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do because I was inebriated. And once he realized that I wasn't reacting, like I wasn't, touching him back or kissing him or anything, he stopped.
mm,
And I wouldn't call that essay. I would just say that that was horrible, horrible judgment on his part,
mm,
and a misunderstanding. But then after that, he ended our friendship because I think he realized that like I just wanted to be friends. But because I was so clingy, because I found someone that connected with me on intellectual, cognitive, mental level of just, you know, being a weirdo, having autism. Not that everyone with autism is a weirdo, or just like not understanding emotions. He thought like that I wanted him more than a friendship. And then the guys that I want more than, I want to be more than friends with, they never want me. Actually,
mm.
most of them are gay. So yeah.
Um, and I missed this about Zach. Did you say that there's something up with Zach too? Zach has a mental health diagnosis or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, he has autism.
Oh,
He's diagnosed autistic. And he confided in me that he is on the spectrum of psychopathy.
oh,
Um, yeah, but I'm not saying that he's a horrible person for what he did, because we were both drunk. It just sucks that like when I told him I didn't want something sexual, he never believed me until like he tried and there wasn't a reaction. And then
hmm.
the times that I was with guys and I wanted something sexual, they were like, I'm gay. So yeah.
That's interesting. Do you think that I mean like do you see a pattern or like why it is that they're often gay, the ones that you
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I was talking to my therapist about this, and she said that because I was like, oh, I think my picker's broken. She's like, I don't think your picker's broken. I think you intentionally like put yourself in, you're romantically attracted to men that will not be romantically attracted to you
mm,
because you're trying to protect yourself, even if that's
oh,
subconscious. And I was
mm-hmm,
like, maybe, or maybe they're just, sensitive and kind and attractive and like, they just happen to be gay. But I don't know. Maybe she's right.
mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll have to come back on once you figure that out and let us know. We'll be like
Yeah.
cliff hung until then. Which is it? Is it?
Yeah. Yeah. I was in Florida. I was actually living with a guy that was sexually attracted to men, but emotionally attracted to women. It was a very interesting dynamic. I currently live in New York now because the friendship was great, but it turned toxic towards the end.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. I met this woman who was like the same way that she was like more, I think she said sexually attracted to men, but she kind of said that she realized that she was like didn't really have emotional connections with men and she only had emotional connections with women. So then she's like, "All right, I just have to be with a woman." I guess in those situations, I wonder like what did they do? Do they just prioritize one or the other maybe?
Well, I can't say his business because I think one or two of the people that follow me know him, so I cannot disclose like what he does in his personal life. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, it was definitely interesting. But yeah, the guy that I recently went on a date with was straight, but he was neurotypical. He was not
Oh.
neurodivergent. And I think that autism is a spectrum, but I also think that sociopathy is a spectrum.
Hmm.
And we were talking about this, earlier off camera. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, on camera, but off the record or whatever. And yeah, I think that there are people that have aspects of ASPD, but they, suppress it or mask it. And like usually I get along better with those people, but then when I tell them about my diagnosis, they run away. And this guy, he didn't, well, actually towards the end of the date, he kind of just walked away. But sorry, my phone is on books. But yeah, like he just felt uncomfortable because I told him like, I don't know if I'm capable of love but I would still, if we were, together or whatever, I would still respect you. I would still, you know, be a good girlfriend, be a good wife, be a good mother. And he couldn't understand that. Like,
Mm,
if you don't love me, why would you be willing to be my girlfriend? Why would you be willing to marry me? And love is not a requirement for a relationship for me.
mhm.
I would love to be in love. I've never been in love. But the requirement that I need is I need someone that is smarter than me
Uh,
because I'm sapiosexual.
yeah.
Um, and like I'm always confused because I don't really understand body language. I don't really understand people. So if I had like a boyfriend or husband that was, smarter than me, like he could help me navigate the world. And this guy has a PhD, and he couldn't understand that like someone could, date someone else without a physical attraction or an emotional attraction. That's not a concept that he could get. And it just, I don't know, it made me feel really bad because, I would have liked to date him, but
Mm,
yeah, I've been on a ton of first dates.
yeah. So I mean, people who don't know the word sapiosexual, I think it's just like your attraction is based at least like a lot in like their mind, right? Is that a good definition?
Yeah. Yes. 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 Um. Yeah. Yeah. I'm attracted to the mind. Um. Like obviously, I wouldn't be with someone that I thought was like 100% unattractive, but then I'm not a conventionally attractive female, so looks don't really matter that much to me.
Hmm. It's interesting to even think about that because as you say that about you, I'm like, is that true? Is that,
Well,
that
I've been single all my life, so I feel like it is true because if it wasn't, then I would be married.
I don't know if the logic follows there. I mean, there are plenty of like attractive people. Isn't it true that Jennifer Aniston? I mean, I think most people think that she has like above average looks or whatever, but she's not married.
Well, that's by choice.
Oh, okay.
She
Mhm.
is single by choice. I am not single. I'm single and childless, but not by choice. I used to call myself a femcel. I actually used to be part of the femcel community, but
Mhm.
I no longer identify as a femcel.
Okay. But I mean, even Jennifer Aniston though, I like the I mean this dude Zach or whatever, you probably could have married Zach, it sounded like.
Oh no, no, no. Um,
But you could have, like, if you wanted to, so I don't know. That's what I don't understand about your, and maybe you can just explain it to me, like what does it mean to be by choice or not by choice? Because it sounds like you've had instances in which, if you were like, and maybe this is interesting way to kind of explore what does it mean to could and not be able to to you because
mhm.
like if I let's say this let's say I were in your situation and I don't know, I mean you just told me what you told me or something, but let's say I had kind of a Zach type or whatever who I was not interested in, but for whatever reason, I was just like, I will just kind of experience what it is to be, in a relationship with somebody. Like I'll just give myself 3 months to kind of like experience being in a dating relationship with a Zach type person. I mean, like I would have that choice. Like you probably had that choice too. Do you think?
Well, I believe that Zach liked me sexually, but he did not like me emotionally or
Mm,
mentally. Although I had a mental connection to him, I think he just wanted to fuck me. I don't think he
yeah.
wanted a relationship with me. And I do think there's a difference between fucking and making love. I don't think he would have ever made love to me. I think he would have fucked me and then probably ghosted me
Oh, I
afterwards.
see. I see. So you couldn't have like a relationship with somebody in which you were kind of like making love with Zach. That's what I think you're saying, and so that's why
Oh,
you
I
kind of.
could never make love to someone like him. No. He was kind of like autistic fuckboy, if you can picture that in your mind.
That should be like,
So
next fall on ABC, Autistic Fuckboy. I would love to see
yeah,
a TV series about that. Like, I wonder if there's ever been a character like that so far. People can put it in the comments or something if they've ever seen autistic fuckboys portrayed. Yeah, I'll try to imagine it in my head in the meantime.
yeah. I mean, he was high functioning, but to answer your question, so I have a rule that I don't tell anyone that I talk to or that takes me out on a date. So I have never had a hookup because I want a relationship, but I don't like I'm not waiting until marriage, but I don't hook up with anyone like or have sex until like I used to be 60 and now it's 90. So like I need to be dating someone for like 2 to 3 months before I bump chicka womp womp with them.
Mm-hmm.
And that has not happened. So
Yeah.
I just haven't dated anyone. And usually, like this one guy, he almost lasted a month. And then he wanted to, like, make love for 1 month together. And I was like, nope. And then he got really angry and he ended our thingy. But he didn't claim me as a girlfriend. So it's like,
Uh,
we're just dating and now you want to, like, bang me.
yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So like and also it was long distance. So it wasn't really like it was mostly an online relationship.
Mm.
So like yeah, he met me once and then he met me again 3 weeks later. And he was like, "Do you want to?" And I was like, "Nope." So yeah.
Interesting. So what about like the female incel community then kind of like attracted you to be a part of it, and maybe like what caused you to be like no? Because this is the first I've heard of female incel. Is it okay to ask you
Okay.
these questions?
Yes, of course, of course. It's like no limitations. You can any questions. Okay, so before I talk about the female incel, community, first have to define what an incel is and what a femcel is.
Yeah.
So an incel is a man that cannot get access to sex.
Mm-hmm.
A femcel is a woman that cannot get access to a relationship.
Mm.
So there is a difference in the femcel community, which one of the reasons why I left is because it's transphobic, because it's like you have to be like cisgendered biological female to be a part of the femcel community.
Hmm.
I'm cisgendered by the way, but like there's a lot of stuff wrong with that community. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, so female incels uh, do not identify as females that cannot get access to sex. Like
Mm.
we know that we're female, we know that we can get access to sex.
I see.
A femcel is a female that cannot get access to a relationship because men are the within the heterosexual relationship dynamic. Men are the gatekeepers of relationships. Like if
Ah,
a
this is
you
really
know
interesting. I'm glad I asked this question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like for example, if a girl is, dating some guy for a couple months, a couple years, she'll throw hints to him that she wants to get married because he's the one that has to, go down on one knee and say, "Will you marry me?" So men are the gatekeepers of relationships,
Hmm.
and women are the gatekeepers of sex. Because if a man is with a woman and she says, "No, I don't want to have sex with you," then he's not going to have sex with her.
Mm.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
consent matters.
But really
But yeah,
quickly, but like so the man has to be like the man doesn't have to be the one that goes down on one knee or whatever. But like and especially I mean that would be like a heteronormative relationship, right? Like
yeah, I'm talking
in
about
yeah, 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 yeah.
heteronormative
Yeah,
relationships.
but you're saying like the man in a heteronormative relationship would have to say yes to the marriage, and there's something about them that tends to be like no, just like there's something about women that tends to be no to sex, like the barrier if you like made generalizations about gender for sex is women and for men relationship is it's men. Does that
Hmm.
sound right?
I apologize if I'm making
No,
generalizations,
you're
by
just
the way.
speaking to your own experience, which is like heteronormative relationships. Yeah.
Um, yeah. Okay. Can you say what you said again? I am trying to understand it because I want to agree, but I don't remember what you.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I
so
didn't get
i
much
think
sleep.
i think what you're kind of saying is that if in a heteronormative relationship, just kind of like how the incels say like the women are the ones who basically say yes or no to sex, generally speaking, that in heteronormative relationships it's the man who says yes or no to relationships, generally speaking, so
Correct.
like yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. In that, part of, heteronormative relationships, that's how the dynamics go most of the time. I agree
Yeah.
with that. Yeah.
And then that's what a femcel is somebody who has cannot get access to kind of relationships. Is that right?
Yes, a female that cannot get access to a relationship. Correct.
Yeah. And then so you identified with that community for a while, but then you left them.
Yes, because that community is full of autistic women and women that are not conventionally attractive.
Mm.
Um, well, not just autistic women, there are women that have Down syndrome, like it's full of just
Uh,
women with like, I shouldn't say like issues, but just roadblocks, that would make it harder to find a relationship.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I kind of know what you mean. I think like I have like this person that I know of, and in like online dating, she really kind of downplays, like, let's say, some of the things that are more core to her day-to-day life, some of the struggles that she encounters, even like with mobility and stuff. And I think that it's because she that is a roadblock, let's say, for her to having a relationship, especially with people. I mean, I actually now I'm thinking of another person. This could be about multiple people where this is kind of true. And yeah, it's like it's difficult because I think that these people could easily be like in a relationship with somebody and have like rewarding relationships with people if people could kind of get over the initial whatever it is. And I think that's interesting to kind of think that I keep asking intuition about things that I should or should not share about this because it is kind of delicate topic. But
Yeah.
I think too, I don't know if this is kind of a generalization I'm making, but I have heard this about kind of gender relationships is that men would like to be with a partner that other people find attractive. If they
Yes.
are, yeah, heterosexual or if they're homosexual, they would like to be like if their partner is admired by other people and found to be sexually desirable, a desirable partner, then men feel like that's a good thing, and that women, I've heard, tend to like when their partner shows signs of nesting, like gaining weight.
God. Yeah.
Yeah, or for like if they're dating another woman, like gaining weight or whatever. And to women that feels better. Like here's the kind of the theory that I've heard, because that suggests that they are less likely to leave the relationship. That they're really nesting, that they're kind of committed to the relationship. You can tell because they're not on the prowl. Obviously, they're not on the prowl. They've let themselves go. And I think that's kind of interesting, but I could kind of see, especially if you're femcel and especially if you're heterosexual, you're looking for a heterosexual relationship, that like that would might be the hurdle. In fact, that might be why they're femcells, is because men, even though they might find somebody like that like a perfectly appropriate partner, somebody who considers themselves a femcell, they might kind of have a hard time with the way that they're viewed amongst fellow men. Like,
Yes. From my experience,
why would you
that is
date or
true.
marry this person?
Hmm. Yeah, from my experience, unfortunately, there's some truth to that. And a person a couple of weeks ago was like, why don't the incels and the femcells just get with each other? And that is because the incels are not attracted to the femcells.
Mm,
There's some men in the incel community that say, I would never date a black girl. I would never date an overweight woman. I would never date a girl with mental health issues,
mm.
despite them having mental health issues, being overweight, or even some incels, of color saying this,
Yeah,
so
that's
they,
very interesting. I'm like super interested in this. Like I've never really thought, hey, I'd love to spend, several minutes discussing this, and now here I am.
yeah, yeah. But I had to leave the community because I was kind of forced out, if I'm going to be honest, because a couple
What
months
it what
ago,
what sort of like regulatory whatever does this community have? Is it like Reddit or something? How can you be forced out?
well, the femcells, we were on Reddit and then we were kicked off of Reddit and we started well, I shouldn't say they started their own Discord.
Mm.
So it's a very underground community, very online underground community.
What are you
Um,
saying? Undergone?
Underground.
Oh,
Sorry,
underground. I
I'm
see.
wearing
Okay.
my headphones. Do you want me to take them off?
No, either way, whatever's good for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I have, it's probably not you. I have like speech issues. Sometimes I watch movies with subtitles on and stuff, like some
I'll turn off the headphones if that's the case, because I'd like you to be able to hear me and whoever's watching to be able to hear me.
yeah.
You want me to
Well,
turn
let's
them
try it
off?
without the headphones. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Wait, hold on. So sorry. Why isn't it? Okay, it's off. Okay. Oh, no, what happened?
No, you're back.
Okay.
Everything's good.
Okay. All right. So you can hear me now.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. So yeah, I was kicked out of the femcel community because I started going to the gym. And that was right around the time, like a couple months ago, when I started doing interviews about my ASPD diagnosis because I was living in Florida with that gay guy that I think I told you a little
Yeah.
bit about. And he was like, you should just, be open about it because it's not something that you should be ashamed about. And also, maybe you can help destigmatize this disorder.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I did my first interview with Mark from Soft White Underbelly, and I told one of my friends in the femcel community about it, and she got upset. And I told her, no, I'm not going to talk
Is
about
it
you guys. I'm
is it
literally
because it's
going to talk
soft
about
white
myself.
underbelly that she got upset, or why did she get upset?
She got upset that I was even talking about the community at all.
Oh, and you mostly talked about femcel with Mark, or you mostly talked about
No.
psychopathy, or both?
Well, I would not say that I am a psychopath. I would say that I have traits of sociopathy.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there is a difference, but I talked about Mark. I mean, sorry, I talked to Mark about the autism and the ASPD diagnosis, and then I told him about a comment that I had gotten about being a femcel. A guy called me a femcel on TikTok or whatever. But yeah, that was like the beginning of them saying, okay, we don't think we want you to be part of our community. And then when I started going to the gym, they were like, oh, well, you're just gonna go to the gym. And it was so crazy because it's like yeah.
What is the gym? Is it like church, amongst atheists? Like, oh, so you're just gonna go to church or whatever? So suddenly you believe in God or whatever? Like,
Well, a large portion of the female incel community is overweight.
mm,
So when someone is trying to lose weight for their health, which I was doing because I'm borderline diabetic,
mhm.
they see that as like, oh, you think you're the shit now. You're going to the gym because they think I'm going to the gym to lose weight, to be, to get a man or whatever. And I mean, we all bitch about how we can't find men. So like, even if I was losing weight to find a man, it's like, how is that bad? Or if I'm losing weight to, you know, uh, be healthier, how is that bad? But I think one of the girls, she just took offense to it because she is over 300 pounds. And this girl is a beautiful girl, actually. Like, she has a really pretty face. She has like blonde hair, blue eyes, like, very pretty girl. She's just a big girl.
Mm.
And she got angry at me and she's like, you're no longer allowed to be a part of our Discord. Like, whoever, is emailing with you, like, stop emailing Cassie. So it kind of sucked, but in a way it was like, okay, I'm free. I can go to the gym without being bitched at.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, this story is like I feel like I'm getting such an insight into like like the width, breadth, depth of humanity is bigger than you've ever like imagined. That's what I always every day it seems like I learn something new.
Yeah, she said that it was fat phobic and racist for me to go to the gym. This is a white woman telling me that I'm being racist for going to the gym.
What
So
is the
I was like,
racism of going to the gym? Is it because gyms are not an inclusive place?
well, actually, from my experience, gyms are actually in a very inclusive place. But she said that I was trying to fit a Eurocentric image of beauty, and I that I would never fit that image of beauty. And I'm like, I know. Like, if
She
anything, you
said
fit
that
that
you were
image of
never
beauty
gonna
more
fit
than
it.
me.
That seems bum. It seems like toilet to tell people that what's true about them. I don't let people tell me about myself.
Yeah. Well, no, that's good. That's good. I wasn't trying to fit in a Eurocentric image of beauty. I'm just trying to be healthy and, not have my belly hang over my coochie. But even if, your belly hangs over your coochie, that's fine if you're comfortable with that. But like, I don't think she's comfortable with herself, and she is,
Oh,
projecting that onto me.
I see.
So yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Coochie is
And
vajayjay, by the way,
yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, yeah. That one I knew. So, but I have heard too that there is like a thing with people who are of a certain kind of, let's say, size or shape or shape that like they can't have sexual intercourse And I've heard it described secondhand by somebody who experiences this, because there's like a buffer zone, like there's
Hmm.
like
Oh, a
penetration.
full.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Or whatever else
Oh,
is going on. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I've never seen a full body picture of her. I've just seen her like from here up.
Hmm.
But like, yeah, if anything, she fits the Eurocentric image of beauty more than me. But
From
because I am, trying to lose weight, she's saying, "Oh, that's racist." But like, I tried to explain to her how hypocritical it is to, as a white woman. And by the way, I love white women, love white men, love Asian people, love Spanish people. I'm not saying that anyone of any race shouldn't, have criticisms of anything else.
Sure.
But yeah, like I just thought it was very hypocritical and fucked up of her to say that I'm trying to, fit a certain beauty standard because she fits that more than I do. If she lost 200 or, or so pounds, she would literally be the Eurocentric image of beauty.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got kicked out of the community,
Yeah.
but you feel free.
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely feel free. I mean, unfortunately, I think technically I still am a femcel because I'm still single and, you know, and it's not by choice. So
Hmm.
like, yeah, like technically I am still a femcel, but like I feel free because I can now talk about my fitness journey without being ridiculed.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, we've talked about so many things.
Yeah.
Are there things like that are big topics that we should get to now that we're like
Definitely.
about like, I don't know, 45 minutes in or something?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing I admire about you and a few other women with ASPD that I've spoken to is that you guys are in relationships. So what is the secret to that? Because I have been single all my life, and being single is actually contributing to like I guess my sociopathic thoughts because now when I see couples together, I get angry and I
Mm,
hate that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess for me, like I had relationships, and they were like, I think similar to what you kind of described. They were like mostly kind of, for me, mental. And I think that must have been weird for my partners, because I think, like when we did engage in like whatever physical affection or something, it was more like, I mean, I felt like a little bit like a sex doll or something, even if it was just like we're sitting on the couch or whatever, like kind of like, okay, I know this is important to you. And so I'm going to engage in this. I think that probably weirded people out, but I didn't
Was that
really
with women or men that you
both.
felt like
Yeah.
a sex doll? Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. By the way, when I said that I hate seeing couples, I didn't mean that like I hate couples. I meant that like I get angry at seeing something that I don't have, but I
Oh,
love
yeah.
seeing couples.
Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, you have the emotions you have or whatever. And when I say a sex doll, I kind of mean that I don't mean that I, like anything, I was objectifying myself. I was like, oh, have you heard of the term commodification?
No, can you explain it to me?
Yeah, commodification is like when you take something that normally doesn't have kind of a monetary value, and you give it that monetary value. So like I was commodifying myself in a way, because I used my own kind of body, I guess, and my own, I don't know, like other aspects of my body and self too, as kind of like a little bit of a currency. Like, oh, I'm willing to trade you access to, the body and like these experiences or whatever with me, in exchange for whatever it is I feel like I'm getting from you, like whatever it was, and for various people it was different things or something. But I didn't feel like I was having like a very integrated experience, I guess, is what I'm kind of trying to say. Like things just kind of seemed really like uh like this, okay, now we're like touching each other, here we go, time to touch each other or something. It wasn't like like it wasn't like self-expression to me. It was
Yeah.
just kind of like playing a role. And so I had relationships before, but I don't think I really had kind of what I would describe as like an emotional, kind of psychological, romantic intimacy, uh probably until like, my current girlfriend. But I think that the thing that was keeping me from it was that I didn't have a very good, and people who've heard me speak before probably no surprise I'm about to say this. I'm almost like hesitating to say it, but like sense of self. I didn't have like a very good understanding of who I was. So in a relationship, I didn't really feel like I was showing up as myself in the relationship either, maybe is a good way to put it. And
Do you
so
think you dissociated? Sorry.
I don't even know what dissociated means. Can you help me with that one?
Like were you there like during, the times that you felt, well, that you were, being intimate with your partners in the past? Did you feel like you were there, but you weren't really there?
I felt like it was like I was there and I was there and I was like an active participant and I was having like the experience. I guess it just felt like I was watching like a movie on mute or something is what it felt like. It wasn't like so I would say probably no. I didn't dissociate. Is that the word?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. So I don't think
I'm
I
running
did.
on 3 hours of sleep. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. And yeah, I just kind of was like, do you know that song? Is that all there is? Is that all there is? Is that all there is? It's like an older like song from like the 50s or whatever. If that's all there is, then why not keep dancing? That's kind of felt. It felt like a little bit flat. It's like, when people come out to the west coast of the United States and try in and out, sometimes they're like, is that all there is? Like that you've heard about like these or you've heard about like these, oh, you have to try this or something, and then you try it, and then you're like, okay. In fact, I had a friend who was like, I feel really badly for me, because for her, sex was so important, and it still remains like a very important part of her life and kind of self expression. And she was like, okay, because you're like Mormon kind of upbringing and stuff, you've had kind of like these different, in some ways, limited sexual experiences, and so that's why she was like feeling badly for me. And then, the first time that like I had like, well, like we'll keep it a little bit more vague. But I was just kind of like, I don't get it, like why did she feel so badly for me? Like there doesn't seem to be kind of like a lot going on. And and for me that was kind of a deal breaker with relationships, I guess is what I'm saying. So I could be in a relationship, but it was kind of the same thing as like having a job. It was like, okay, I'm willing to have this job because I get these benefits, and I show up in these particular ways, and that I'm totally consenting to this. It's totally consensual. I don't feel put upon or whatever. Or if I did feel put upon, I would just like leave. It's just like you would quit the job or something if it no longer worked for you. But I didn't feel like it was like I didn't feel like it was part of my purpose or part of my identity or part of my soul. Like I never felt like soul connected to somebody, I guess, until I met my girlfriend. And actually the first time that we made out, I was like, oh, we are soul bonded. And I was like, this is weird. And then I thought, what does this mean then? That we're soul bonded. And I guess that has been like really easy and like a big gift, I guess, that I've experienced in my life is because that truth of being soul bonded has whatever that means, has been really has helped me to, I think, be motivated to try to understand how to keep showing up in relationships, like not just part of me like I was doing before, but like all of me, and really kind of encourage her to do the same, and trying to, you know be the type of person that she could be all of herself with, and try to kind of help the relationship grow in ways to like accommodate even more and more of herself and even more and more of myself, as we kind of became like our lives became more enmeshed, not trying to like have things kind of closed down a little bit or like, oh, there's only room for so much here, but just trying to keep expanding, so that there could be like, so it's like a California king size bed or whatever, instead of like trying to cram everybody into like a twin or something.
Yeah, you're so lucky that you found that. I
I
think it's
know.
Yeah, I think it's really great that you found someone that, is your soulmate and that,
Soulmates.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, soul bonded,
Yeah,
it's
so
still,
bonded.
yeah, yeah, it's still like something that's super awesome and I hope to find one day. And I think it's great that you have that.
Yeah.
Um, one thing I I didn't know that song that you were singing earlier, but I have a question for you. Do you like music? Like do you enjoy music?
Yeah, I do. I am a musician. Like I studied
Oh, okay.
music. That yeah, my undergrad degree is in music.
Nice, nice. So I don't really talk about this a lot, but like I feel nothing when I listen to music. I pretend like I do, obviously because I don't want to have like a blank look on my face and a monotone voice, but I don't like music. I feel nothing when I listen to music. Lately I've been listening to like Christian metal at the gym
Oh,
just because
interesting.
like that kind of like gets me a little pumped, but I feel little to nothing when it comes to music. I mask a lot because I want to, fit in. I think you said this earlier. I don't know if it was you or someone else. Being a pro-social sociopath, like
Hmm.
not wanting like I do have the urge and it sucks that I have this urge and I do believe it is from, being abused as a child. But I do have the urge to like hurt people, but I would never do that because I identify as a Christian and like also I don't want to go to jail and I don't identify as a bad person. So like I would never, hurt people or whatever.
Hmm.
But like, oh my gosh, not being able to like feel anything when I listen to music or not being able to dance,
Mm.
I can, dance, but like I feel nothing when I dance. I feel nothing when I listen to music. And I think that's so amazing that there are people on this spectrum that like, are musicians like you and like love music and, people that, love to dance. And then I'm just like, I don't know what that feels like, but I think that's amazing that, you guys are able to feel.
So I don't know that I think of music in a feeling way.
Then how do you think about it?
Yeah. So do you like poetry? Do you read and understand poetry? Like you're like, oh, poetry, that's kind of nice or something.
When I was younger, I used to write poetry, and then I found out that my dad used to write poetry, and I stopped writing poetry.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I have a
Yeah.
bit of appreciation for poetry.
Yeah, so I don't. I can't understand it. Like it's not like I'm like, "Oh, this sucks," or whatever. I read it and I try really hard. So that's why I kind of identify with what you've said about music. And then my girlfriend also loves, she's like psychopathic. She loves and, here and there writes poetry or whatever. She wrote like one just recently, like something like, "But it's April, so I'll try." That was the poem. I was like, I understand, like it's short or whatever. Maybe the shorter it is or whatever. And she says she doesn't even think about the meaning. She just kind of thinks about like the flow of the words, the way it looks on the page, or she tells me all these different things that kind of are like that she's taking in or whatever. I don't understand it. Like I've only understood, like a handful of poems, like in a way that kind of makes sense to me. And I think of it kind of as just like, I don't know, like Chinese or something. Like there's like a few
Yeah,
phrases that I can pick up on where I'm like, "Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, I've heard that before."
yeah, yeah. And then that's like reading poetry or reading the lyrics to, music, like I can understand it and I could like kind of get why someone would like it, but that there's a disconnect kind of between like my mind because I know like what song, would be better, if someone was playing it than
Mhm.
another song if someone was playing it.
Yeah.
But there's a disconnect between my mind and like I guess like my heart or my body or whatever because like yeah like I would rather someone play classical music than play like rap just because like I guess like yeah it's less like boom 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 like it's less stress on like in my mind but I like quiet more but like I do have an appreciation for certain types of music or certain types of dances but I can't really like connect to it and I think that's like the part where I guess the sociopathy comes in is just like not being able to connect and like even though like I said like I value life, I identify as a Christian, I would never do anything that would put me in jail or I just don't identify as a bad person, but like people that are on the extreme end of the I guess sociopathic or psychopathic spectrum that do go out and like commit heinous acts like killing people
Mhm.
um like there's part of me, and this makes me feel disgusted, but there is part of me that can understand like why they would do that, because like living, you know, your whole entire life not feeling connected to anyone, or like the things that, you know, people do, because, you know, I am living on a planet with like other people, and people listen to music, and people dance, and people, you know, are in relationships, and never feeling like a human, you know, emotional, like empathetic connection to that, and just appreciating it, and like finding the value in it. It is dehumanizing in a way.
Mm,
Even if no one is dehumanizing me, it's like
right.
dehumanizing to oneself, to like not be able to connect to like life.
Mm,
So the people that go out and like, you know, see a happy couple and like, you know, murder them, or, you know, see children playing and murder them, or like, you know, or, you know, shoot up like I don't know, like a concert, or maybe like a dance place or whatever. I think like, oh my God, that is horrible, you know. But I also think like this is
mm,
someone that has gone their entire life not feeling connected to human beings,
hmm.
and now they have developed such an anger, you know, the anger has developed into hate, and they feel like, oh well, if I can't, you know, connect to this, then want to end it, you know.
Oh,
And that's like, I don't know, like I don't know if I'm explaining this right.
no, that's really
Obviously
interesting. That's the first.
this is not how I feel. I'm
Mhm,
just saying that I can intellectually understand, you know, people on the extreme side of the spectrum when they do things like that, because I currently live in a low income, high crime area. Like I live in the hood.
mhm.
This is probably like the ratchetest place I've ever lived in. And like people that, you know, do certain things, like I never understood it. And now I'm like, oh my God, yeah, like my neighbor downstairs, she literally plays music at all hours of the night, and I am unable to sleep. And I'm like, wow, like I thank God that I have high impulse control, and that obviously I would never do anything to like go to jail or go to hell, because if I was like, you know, on the extreme end of the spectrum, God only knows what I would do, you know? So
Mhm.
I don't know. Like it sucks, because like obviously I don't want to be able to empathize with killers, but when you feel, you know, ostracized from like everyone on the planet, like it's hard to feel human. I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't feel human, because as a black person, some people will just like go with that. But I don't know. I don't feel I don't know. It just sucks. I don't really feel connected, I would say. Yeah.
That's interesting because that kind of explains to me, like I've never really understood some of these kind of mass killings for whatever reason, and that actually helps me to understand like why do they target the places that they target, maybe even is because they feel like that seems to make sense. They feel kind of like almost disregarded, maybe like their own humanity is somehow disregarded by everybody, like moving on without them, I guess. We're doing our
Yeah.
own thing, but and something that you can't be a part of, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, and to backtrack on what you said earlier, not having a sense of self. I grew up with a mother that is very narcissistic, and she
Not a
would leave.
surprise.
Yeah,
Oh, what? A
um,
sociopath who has a narcissistic parent?
yeah, yeah, it is what it is. And
Mhm.
I think that's why I'm like so, I think the kids call like humble or whatever, because yeah, like she put me in situations
Mm,
where like I got, you know, sexually assaulted in, you
yeah.
know, and just like not developing a core sense of self, because I had to make sure that like she was all right, and that I wasn't doing anything to piss her off, especially because my dad wasn't in the picture. Um, I basically was, you know, trying to keep her together, and she wasn't able to like emotionally support me, because she was just like falling apart most of the time.
Mm,
So I had to like turn off my emotions. And I think like I consciously did that as a child. Like when I realized that like I was crying and there was no one to comfort me, I like had to turn off my emotions, or else like I would have broke, like my mind would have broke, you know? So I think that was a coping mechanism,
yeah.
especially growing up on the spectrum and growing up undiagnosed for so long. When I was homeless and I went into the shelter, um, the psychiatrist in the shelter, he said, "Well, how long have you had autism?" And I was
Mm,
like, "What? I don't think I have autism."
mhm.
And yeah, like shortly after that, I was tested and then diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. So
Yeah.
I went undiagnosed until I was in like my mid 20s.
But that is kind of a funny question to ask, like, how long do you have autism? That's almost like, how long have you been heterosexual? You'd be like,
Yeah, like I guess as a psychiatrist, it was just like obvious to him.
okay,
Yeah. I mean, like I would say I'm hetero-flexible,
okay.
um, because I was in an LGBT shelter.
Mhm.
Yeah. I was in Marsha's house, which is like an LGBT shelter in the Bronx. I'm sorry. Do you have anything to say? I feel like I'm talking too much. I apologize.
Well, yeah, I want to kind of like go back to no, you're not talking too much at all. I want to kind of go back to like this idea of music though. What I kind of think, I do think that there's probably something mirror neurons or whatever with dancing and with music, and that there is like this kind of dancing music connection, like in our brains. I think that that's like a thing. I think we perceive music as movement. Like I think, it's been a while since I've like studied kind of like the whatever like ways that our brain perceives music, and I never really studied it that much. It was like 1 or 2 weeks in like whatever course there was in university that somebody kind of
Mhm.
mentioned it. But I mean, all it is like sound waves that like vibrate the little bones in our ears that then get like, those signals or whatever, the sense of vibration gets like translated to our brain in these particular ways. But I don't feel music either, and I actually do get that question a lot, like, and kind of assumption like, oh, how can you, because I think most people feel music. I don't think most people kind of cognitively understand it. It actually reminds me a little bit of like the distinction between cognitive versus affective empathy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a cognitive empathy. Like I choose not to be an asshole, and a lot of people think that because, and I think this is probably one of the reasons why I'm single, because one guy he was like, "Oh, if you have ASPD, then like how do I know you're not going to stab me?" And I was like, "Because I don't go around stabbing people. Like what? Like I'm
I
not that
haven't
type
done
of
it
person."
once, never once stabbed
Yeah.
anybody. Me, no. Some other psychopaths maybe, but not this one. Some other bad
Yeah.
things, sure. It's not like I'm like an angel or whatever.
Yeah, when I was a teenager, that was like when I was in the depths of my psychopathy, and
Mm,
being homeless kind of like humbled me. I guess it like taught me how to be like more empathetic.
hmm,
That's when I got closer to God as far as like my religion and how it's helped me a lot.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
Let's
I think yeah, sorry.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So I was just gonna like wrap it up. So the way that I like learned music though was just kind of hear the notes or whatever. And I learned it kind of like in the same way that somebody might learn, like, I don't know, how to speak French or something, but
Mhm.
also French, if like French was like your first language, but you didn't learn it until you were like 8 or something. I guess so. I think of it as I think of like skiing or swimming, things that I took lessons for. And yeah, they feel good to do, but it's not like I feel like I don't associate them with like, hey, this is conveying an emotion when I ski or conveying an emotion when I
Yeah.
swim or something. Where it's
Yeah.
it's just like something that I engage in. It is one of my favorite ways to engage with other people on, because I feel
Mhm.
like we're speaking kind of like this common language that often like I'm speaking their language, and speaking it kind of as a second language to me. But like when we do the music for whatever reason, like I feel like I understand them more directly. Like I can hear their brain, like I can hear the way that they are, better than I can when I'm like talking to somebody like in English.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's beautiful. Like that's beautiful that you interpret, music and being a musician in your own way and not in like the same way as others, because like everyone's an individual. And I think it's beautiful that, you can be yourself and that other people can, be themselves when it comes to their passions.
Yeah, but I would also bet though, and I'm like willing to like whatever. I bet if you took like some music lessons, you know, or just started to learn how to play the piano, that you it would be something that you could learn just like you can learn how to perspective take.
Yeah, so this is another thing people think I'm lying about. I don't know how to play the piano. I don't know how to play instruments, but like I can hear something and I could try to do it and it'll sound like, "Oh, okay, you kind of know how to do this." And I'm just like, "No, I don't." But I
Really
think that's just
interesting.
like an autistic thing. Like a
Uh-huh.
few of, autistic people, we could just like kind of like pick up on things a little easier, maybe some of us. But yeah, I don't know. I tried learning piano and trying to like, like listening to Beethoven and like Mozart and stuff. And it's like, oh, I feel nothing. But I would rather listen to Beethoven than like WAP or something like that. So yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Um, it's just I don't know, like it is a little, what is it like being me? To answer your question earlier, it's not easy because I constantly just have to like they say like, oh, people, that are sociopaths don't really, care about other people or empathize with other people, but I'm constantly trying to, be empathetic and trying to appear normal and have a mask of normalcy and like sanity because like if I were to unmask and I don't know if you had said this earlier, I don't know, but like if I did try to unmask, that would put me in a very unsafe situation, especially as a female, because then I'd be making people feel uncomfortable, and when
Mm.
people are uncomfortable, there's a chance they might hurt you, because people don't like unpredictability. They like predictable people because predictable people are seen as safe. Um, and it's not safe for me to be myself, so I have to just pretend. I like that you laugh so much. Because I don't know, like I'm not a laugher. I will laugh, but like again, like I just feel nothing when I laugh. So, yeah, it's just like just pretending, to make other people feel comfortable. There's a lot of people pleasing with my ASPD,
Mm.
which contradicts the disorder, which is why I said it's like a spectrum,
I don't know that it contradicts it. Like I think your and this is kind of a controversial thing I've found as I've spoken more about it. I think that sociopathic people, people with antisocial personality disorder, anywhere on the spectrum, tend to mask. You know, like they tend to manipulate. They tend to kind of be a chameleon. And I think it's for all sorts of reasons, but I'm sure for one, it's because they don't want to have bad things happen to them. It's interesting that you say that.
survival.
Yeah,
I
as a
masked out of
female,
survival. Yeah.
yeah, that kind of makes sense to me. You know, my girlfriend and I tell kind of this joke about people like abusing their kids where we say like leave your kid alone, leave them alive, you know.
Okay. What does that mean exactly?
Kind of like why are parents getting so angry that they end up like killing their kids basically, you know, leave your kid alone, leave it alive. So kind of to us it's like if you're getting so angry that you're hitting your kid, like what's keeping you from killing them? I think that's our fear, is that we don't understand that dynamic. We don't understand, like if you could hit your kid, to us it seems like you could kill your kid easily, right? So we say
Yeah.
leave them alone, leave them alive.
Yeah, that's one thing that I was constantly in fear of as a child because I was getting beaten almost every single day and raped like not almost every single day, but I raped a lot. Beaten by my mom, not, assaulted by my mom, in that way. But yeah, and I think like a part of my brain that like, because I'm diagnosed ASPD and then I've had an MRI done and they said that there was a lot of gray in
Mm,
my amygdala area. So it's like people are like, oh, like she's too nice or she seems, like she wouldn't have this disorder. And I'm like, oh, actually, no, like my brain is I literally have brain damage from the abuse that I, suffered as a child. And my technically I have the brain of a sociopath, but like that doesn't mean that because I was hurt that I'm gonna go out and like physically hurt other people.
mm-hmm.
Because I don't think that I don't think that I have the right to do that. And there's some people that, were raped as children, especially, some men that were raped by pedophiles, and then they go out and they themselves become a pedophile. They go and they rape kids and they think, well, it happened to me and I don't deserve it. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to, do it to other people.
Mhm.
And I think like, wow, like, yeah, that is disgusting. But I can totally understand why, like, when, the bitch downstairs plays her really loud music, like I have intrusive thoughts of just like, because like when so much violent, things happen to you as a kid, and like as far as SA goes, like it wasn't just like penis and vagina, like sexual assault. It was like really demented, just really dehumanizing things that were done to me. And like the fact that I have never, physically, sexually, whatever, like hurt anyone, like is, and I know that I shouldn't be like, oh, like this is amazing, but like it really is, because I feel like a lot of people that go through like what I went through, and the reason why I know this is because I spoke to some of them. They're incarcerated. Like they go out and they do it to other people and they feel justified doing so because they're like,
Yeah.
well, it happened to me. It happened to me. And I'm like, no, just because it happened to you doesn't mean that you have the right to go out and do it to other people, because then you're just creating more hurt people that go out and hurt other people,
Yeah.
you know? And it is hard because like living in an environment that's not conducive to my mental health, as far as like, being broke and having to live in the hood, it doesn't help with my ASPD at all. I used to live in like Sayville, which is like predominantly white neighborhood. It's like really quiet, and I couldn't afford to live in Sayville anymore. And now I'm living like in the hood, and I'm like, oh wow, like I definitely understand why there's a large percentage of people of color that are incarcerated, because I don't think people should live on top of each other like this. I
Mm.
don't think it's conducive to mental health or emotional health to be in an inner city, you know. So I'm trying to like uh make YouTube videos and like do more interviews and do more mental health advocacy so that I can like, make some money so that I can like get out of the hood, because one of my fears is like ending up in jail. Like it's
Mhm.
actually like I have a fear that I not that I will kill someone, but that I will have to defend myself, and
Mm.
by defending myself accidentally, harm someone in that way. And it is scary. It is scary. Like I rather live in the woods by myself. And when I say that to people, they're like, "Oh, like why would you want to live in the woods? You never know what could happen in the woods." And I'm like, "No, I know what can happen because I know what I could expect from an animal. I don't know what to expect from other people. Like I don't feel comfortable being around all these people because I try to be nice, especially with autism, having a developmental disability. And yes, I'm high functioning, but I still consider it a disability because there are people that make fun of me when I go outside, and I think, why is this person laughing at me? And um, yeah, like that has, affected my ASPD too, because when you go outside and people are laughing at you, or people are, talking shit about you and you don't know why, my automatic thought in the past has been like, God, like, intrusive thought, intrusive thought, intrusive thought. But lately I've been just like praying and going to therapy and yeah, doing YouTube videos and trying to help other people so that they don't end up incarcerated. Yeah. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm talking a lot. I
No,
apologize.
no, it's really good, but I feel like, this is kind of like I recently did this podcast with some Australian dude named Julian. That's probably enough information for people to look it up if they're interested. And he asked me, like what would you kind of say to like normal people or whatever? And it's kind of like just why do you care so much what other people are doing? Like why are people making fun of you on the street? Why do they why does what they're doing bother them? Like what
Because
is head?
because if people don't like you, then there's a chance they can physically harm you. And I'm a short woman. I'm like 5'2", 5'3", and I try to, you know, act in a way so that everyone could like me, because I have spent most of my, life being physically harmed, and I refuse to let that happen again. So when people laugh at me outside, I know this is like a huge jump. It's a huge assumption, but I assume that they are going to kill me. Like the person that's laughing at me, I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna kill me. And I know that that's like that, and I acknowledge that's like crazy, but it is crazy to, have to be in fight or flight or in survival mode. But I think with this disorder and with autism, I'm constantly just in survival mode. So like I don't care what they say about me. I care what they are capable of doing to me.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I totally agree with you about that because I feel the same, way. Like why do I mask? A lot of it is yeah, because I'm a small woman who can be like oppressed. And like have I been oppressed before? Like any probably woman who has ever said no to any, I mean man for sure, but then like a lot of other women too. Like people can get so aggressive so quickly, like if things kind of don't go what how they expect it's going to go, I guess is a good way to put it. There's something that people, it's like they feel tricked by stuff if you
Yeah.
like defy their expectations, and they
Hmm.
hate feeling tricked. it's
Yeah.
like it's like to them feeling tricked is you might as well kill someone if you feel tricked.
Yes. Yes. And a lot of men do not realize that socially awkward women exist. And they also assume that like women of color, like Black and Latino, whatever, women are just like social butterflies and
Mhm.
sassy. And I am extremely socially awkward. I am an introvert. I am a nerd. And guys, that I meet on Bumble or Christian Mingle, when they meet me for coffee at Dunkin' Donuts or at Starbucks, they have an assumption in their mind that I'm
Mm,
going to be a certain way, and then they meet me and they don't you know know what box to put me in because I'm weird, like I'm a weirdo, and then they feel uncomfortable. One guy, he was like, oh, I'm getting weird vibes from you, like, do you have a dick? And I was like, no, I don't have a dick. And even if I did, like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't have a dick. And like, I just want to drink coffee and get to know you. And he was like, oh, okay. Do you want to go play video games at my house later? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to play video games at your house later because we're just meeting for a cup of coffee and I don't know you and I don't know what you could do to me at your house. He
yeah.
was like, oh, okay. Well, like, and then he ghosted me after that, obviously. But like, yeah, it's like maybe there are females that like women that fall for stuff like that, like, oh, let's go play video games, like, oh, come over, let's watch a movie. But like unless I know someone like
Yeah.
very well, I
Uh-huh.
thought I knew Zach well, and
Yeah.
I knew him for a while, and like I trusted him that he wouldn't get me drunk, because now that I can look at back on retrospect, he drank like probably one or two glasses and he kept on pouring and pouring and pouring me glasses, and he
Mm,
was just taking like little sips. And then when he saw that I was like, loosey goosey, he decided to like make moves on me, and this was someone that I considered a friend. So if a friend could do that to me, then like, who are you? I met you on Christian Mingle, I met you on Bumble, I'm not going to go to your house, you
mhm.
know so it is hard. And then if I'm open about, well, I am, open about my disorder, a lot of guys, they're like, oh, okay, so you're gonna try to, what, kill me? You're gonna try this, and I'm just like, no, I'm just looking for someone so that I don't die alone.
Yeah.
I don't want to die alone.
Yeah, one of my favorite phrases for when people are like, "Oh, you want to kill me?" and it's like, "Don't flatter yourself. Like, how are you so important to me that I want to kill you?" Like, what?
Can I start using that?
Yeah, yeah, don't flatter
Yeah,
yourself. Like, wow.
that's a great response. Don't flatter yourself. Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't think, like, I think the main reason why I have this disorder is because when the psychiatrist was like, "Well, do you think about, unaliving people?" I was like, "Yeah, the people that raped me when I was a child.
Yeah.
Yes." And she was like, "Okay." And like I think that would be like a normal thing to say, but apparently it's not. And like well, one of them is in jail and the other ones are not, because statute of limitations, and then like it's like, oh well, where's the evidence and this and that. Like one person, there was like proof of everything, and then everybody else was like, oh, we just but I've been trying to get them on the sex offender, what's it sex
Yeah, the
offender
registry.
list registry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I've been super open about, all my trauma. And that's the thing about people like a-holes online. They're like, "Oh, okay, well, you showed this person this. Can I see your psyche eval? Can I see your MRI? Can I see your court case?" And I'm like, "Who are you? You have a picture of Naruto as your avatar. Like, I'm not gonna send you my documents." Like that makes me so angry, because I'm like, you're nobody. Like I show it to the people that need to see it, and like the internet is just full of people that have balls, like for no reason.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to do the whole YouTube thing. And my channel is chocolate Autizzy because everybody likes chocolate. Like when I mean chocolate, like the candy, So like I identify as chocolate because chocolate is something that most everyone likes, and Autizzy because I'm autistic. So chocolate
Mm.
Autizzy.
Nice. We'll
Yeah.
drop a link to it.
Yes, yes. And then you were gonna say something. I apologize if I cut you off. I tend to like ramble a lot.
I don't know what I was gonna say. Was it about a specific thing? Just I think, like people kind of are like, "Oh, I think that it's so terrible how like sociopaths are like lying to people all the time and pretending to not be sociopaths." And I'm like, you guys are like so violent and unpredictable that you're
Yes.
beating your own children. Like I do not trust you guys to I mean like when I was open my own self, I got like fired. They were like, "Okay, you're banned from downtown San Francisco." I'm like, "This is illegal." They're like, "We don't care. We're going to call the cops or whatever." It's just kind of like yeah, I don't know. They have kind of I think you've said it like in some good ways that I haven't really heard said exactly that way before. They have expectations about things, just about life and reality, and then if you
Yeah.
defy those expectations, it like it destabilizes, I think, their sense of reality. And I think that's kind of what causes them to lash out, is that suddenly they feel stupid. And it's
Yeah.
it's like shocking what can happen when people feel stupid when but I'll give you kind of an example. I mean, like this is the sort of stuff that I would like unknowingly just kind of walk into. Is one time I was visiting another sociopath in prison, and it was my first time visiting a prison, I think. The
Yeah.
first that I can kind of remember. And so I was like, whatever. I'm just trying to like learn how to do things, And first, for sure, the first time I visited prison in that particular location, and they have like the vending machines and stuff, and people kind of during the visiting hours are constantly like getting snacks or whatever for people, and then you're often using the microwave because there's like hot wings or something that are like in the vending machine, some things that require the microwave. So there's like 10 microwaves lined up just along the wall of this visiting room, and I like go to open a microwave and I see that there's stuff in there, and so I just put the thing on top, and that like led to me almost like dying in this
Oh my
prison
gosh.
waiting room. Yeah, because the person whose stuff I put on top was so pissed at me. It was like another woman who was there visiting somebody that like the guards had to get involved and kind of be like, like if you don't sit back down or whatever, to her, I guess, but also to me because they couldn't tell who did what or whatever. Like we're gonna kick you out or we're gonna blah 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 blah. But she was like threatening to kill me. She's like, "Bitch, you
Did
think
she
you
know
can blah
about
blah
your
blah blah blah."
disorder?
No. But
Oh,
that's the
okay.
sort of thing like where, like where I could kind of I have accidentally, kind of like disrupted people's expectations for how things should go. Like she, I
Yes.
guess, expected me not to put her thing up on the microwave top. That was not her expectation. So she took that as a disrespect. And I didn't mean
Yeah.
disrespect. I was just kind of like, I am clueless. Like, is there a rule about don't put people's stuff up on the microwave or something that like these rules I don't know about that I violate or something. And so the rules
Yeah.
that I do know about, I'm like very careful to like follow them. Like, oh, okay, look you
Exactly.
in the eye, smile, ha 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 ha, laugh at your jokes or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Neurotypical people, in my experience, are more sociopathic than actual sociopaths. Um, like for example,
Behaviorally, is that what you mean? Like, yeah, like
behaviorally,
they're more
yes, yes.
antisocial. They can be like,
Anti, yeah. Yeah, because the people that have opened up to me about their ASP diagnosis, the people that have emailed me, I'm like, "What do you do for a living?" One lady is a lawyer that works for Morgan and Morgan. Obviously, I can't say her name.
Mm,
Another person is a doctor that works at Downstate Hospital, and I was like, "Well, like, how does ASPD affect you,
mm.
at your job?" And he was like, "Well, I just like cutting flesh." And that's my thing. And so I became a doctor. And like his patients don't know that he has ASPD, but he's not out harming people. And that's why I'm saying like there are people with ASPD that might have, sociopathic tendencies or whatever, but like don't actually harm people. There's another lady, and gosh, I wish I could okay, maybe I'll like send you screenshots so that you know that being truthful, but I cannot, say names obviously. She
No,
is
I
married
trust
to a
you. Why would you
politician.
lie?
Yes, this woman is married to a politician, and he has ASPD, and
Mm,
he's a person that is working, in politics. There's a man working in law enforcement that emailed me after he saw my soft white underbelly interview, and he said, "Yeah, I have ASPD, and like this is how it affects me," and blah blah blah. Obviously, I'm not going to say his shit because he works in law enforcement, but yeah, there are people that work in STEM with this disorder. So like I think a lot of people, when they think about sociopaths, they think about low functioning sociopaths that are currently incarcerated. But the
mm,
thing is, sociopathy is a spectrum. There are low functioning sociopaths that unfortunately tend to have like a lower IQ and like low impulse control. And there are high functioning sociopaths that have like a higher IQ and like high impulse control. And I think the thing that separates these two people is the fact that one person is willing to act on their, horrible, like violent, whatever urges, and the other person is willing to incorporate that into a healthy part of their life to make themselves a functioning member of society. Like this woman that's a lawyer, like, well, I know a few lawyers actually. Like she's like, yeah, like I use it for good. The guy that works as a doctor, I use this for good. There is a teacher, and she's like, yeah, I use this for good. Like she will call, like, because I wish that I had a teacher like that
mm.
like saw, neglect and was like, no, I'm gonna fight for this child and I'm gonna get you out of your mom's custody because like your mom is clearly neglecting you. Like
Yeah.
she's like, nope, I do not care. I will help children. So
Yeah,
it's like,
she's willing to like rock the boat. She's willing to like, throw the monopoly board up and be like, "Nope. This is done.
yeah,
Done, done. You're
yeah.
done. You're done."
She almost fought one of the mothers because this mother sent her kid to school with hair not done, teeth not brushed, and then she took out a comb and she braided this girl's hair, and she was like, I don't give a fuck if the mom has something to say to me. You sent your sorry, child to school with lint in her hair.
Mm.
Like that's not okay, so um yeah, like there's some people that have this disorder that are doing great in the world, and obviously you only hear about like the people like what's his name, Jeffrey Dahmer, that are like eating people.
I
Like who
don't
the
think he
fuck
was a
eats people?
psychopath. Yeah. But there
Yeah,
are other ones. Ted Bundy, sure. There are a couple, sure. Yeah. But
yeah,
so
but that.
I
Mhm.
I recently spoke with a psychologist who was like talking about like CEOs or something being psychopathic and stuff, and she was like, yeah, but some slipped through or something. And I was like, no, they didn't slip through. It's not like they got to be CEO because they just were able to pull the wool over like thousands of people's eyes. Like they got there because of their psychopathy, whatever it
Yes,
was, like their ability to understand, like the way things work or whatever, or to understand how the way people work. Like to think
yeah,
that her assumption was if you're a psychopathic CEO, you're basically, like an imposter. You're just going to run the business into the ground because you don't know what you're doing. And I just thought, like, I wish it were that easy. I wish I could just become like a CEO,
yeah,
just
yeah,
lying.
or
I wish
people,
that people were so
yeah,
easy to trick. But the truth is, they get to these places because they're competent.
or people that think that I have no feelings.
Mm.
And I have depression and anxiety, and they're like, well, how can you be depressed if you don't feel anything? And I was like, I never said that I don't feel anything. I said that I have a limited range of emotions.
Yeah.
Like maybe I say sometimes like, oh no, I don't feel this or I don't feel that. But what I'm really talking about is emotion. So like anxiety is a physical response. Like I'm getting sweaty, my heart's beating. I'm thinking of like, oh my God, how am I gonna get out of this situation if this happens? Like it's like thinking like, what could happen if A, B, C, and D happens,
Yeah.
or depression, just like laying in bed all day and like crying, like, okay, yeah, I'm depressed because, I have shit to be depressed over, but I'm not like, laying in bed and like it's more like, I can't stop the tears from coming out of my eyes. The tears are just gonna like come out of my eyes, you
Yeah.
know? So I'm human and I feel these human emotions, but I don't feel the positive ones. Like the
Mm.
negative ones are super easy for me to feel. Loneliness, anger, sadness, fear. Um, I can feel that. Not fear, not all the time, but yeah. Because sometimes I'm like, okay, this person does this, and I'm gonna do that. So like, it's not really like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. It's like I'm so scared, and I'm gonna walk around with like this to protect myself. So yeah, but I think there's a difference between feelings and emotions, and I think that just because someone might feel anxiety or might feel depression, that doesn't mean that they can also, feel happiness and excitement and this and that. Because unfortunately, I don't know what happiness is. And like, I laugh a lot. And like a lot of people, they think like, oh, Cassie, she's happy. She's a happy person if they don't know about my diagnosis, because I laugh a lot. And I'm like, no, like I'm fake laughing. Like
Mm.
I fake laugh to make other people feel comfortable around me. And sure, some people can be like, well, aren't you manipulating them? Because if you're sad, why don't you just be sad? It's like, because then no one will be around me.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm.
like if I'm sad and if I'm just like, I feel nothing, my life sucks, yada, 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 who will be around me? And like, unfortunately, like we live in a world where like we need other people. Like, even if I live in the woods by myself, I will still have like cell phone reception because like, we need other people
Yeah.
for certain things. So yeah, I think neurotypicals behave more sociopathically than actual sociopaths. Like even when a girl was like, "Hey, like, can you give me some advice? Like, how do I manipulate my boyfriend?" And I was like, well, I am not a good liar because in order to be a great liar, you have to remember your lies, and my memory is shit. But if I really am trying to manipulate someone, I'm honest with them because people never expect honesty. And like the best way to like get what you want or like manipulate someone is just to be honest with them.
Mm.
And it's like so crazy because like people think like, oh, like you have to lie or you have to do this or you have to do that. And it's like, no, like I just like I'm like, hey, I need $20 from McDonald's. Like I'm not gonna be like, oh, like I this and I that. And like, just like honesty goes a long way. And like people that think that like people like me are lying all the time, it's like, no, people expect people to lie all the time. We don't live in a world where people expect people to be good to them. We live in a
Yeah.
world where people expect people to be bad to them. So if
Yeah.
someone is being honest and if someone is like saying like, hey, like I struggle with this, I struggle with that, people are more likely to be like, okay, yeah, I want to be your friend. I want to help you, so I don't know. It's like crazy because I was like hiding like my diagnosis for like I got diagnosed when I was 25, so I hid it for like years. Then when I stopped hiding my diagnosis, that's when I started, getting followers and getting people wanting to talk to me and like, people wanting to be my friend and like people saying, "Oh, I'll date you." Like the most dates I've ever gone on in my life, even though yeah, it wasn't didn't pan out to be anything, was after my diagnosis,
Mm.
which is like mind blowing because I thought like, oh, okay, like I'm gonna hide this. But yeah, like it's crazy. It's crazy that people think that like everyone with this disorder is like 100% like emotionless or like 100% a lying piece of shit, because then there are people like me that are just like, yeah, I think about beating the shit out of people, and people are like, oh, I think about that too. you know, so it's like it it's way better to just be, you know, honest. And it sucks because like when I was like I wore all pink for like 10 years. Like I was wearing literally nothing but pink and I was trying my best to be like happy, you know, positive person. And like people were like, "Oh, you know, what's wrong with you?" And now that I'm wearing like black and I'm like, you know, being as honest as I can be, you know, because there's like my therapist told me like not to say certain things. So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna say certain things. But like as honest as I could be, and like now it's like I just did a thing with Jubilee Media, and like I never thought that they would, you know, be want me on their channel, and they're like, yeah, come on our channel. Like, so I don't know. Like I think sociopathy is grossly misunderstood. I think that people need to understand that it is on a spectrum and that there are people that have jobs and there are people that have families. I spoke to a housewife, and she makes little, she's not a big content creator, but she makes like little housewife videos
Mm,
on TikTok. And she was like, I will never love my husband in a neurotypical way. I will probably never love my kids in a neurotypical way, but I will die for my kids. I will, you know, respect my husband and I will, you know, show him love. And she tried telling him this and he was like, no, you love me, because he doesn't know the difference, because
mm,
like she expresses love through actions. She's not just like, I love you, because anyone can say, I love you. There are
yeah.
guys that have told me, I love you. I want to be your boyfriend. And I'm like, okay, prove it. And then they can't even go, you know, 4 weeks without, you know, wanting sex from me and then cursing me out or dumping me when I don't put out sex. So
Mm,
I'm like, you don't love me. You sent me a
yeah.
message saying that you love me and you wanted to be with me. I said, okay, let's do, like, not even, I didn't even want him to spend money on me. Let's go for coffee. Let's go to an art museum.
Mm,
Let's you know, go to, you know, walk around. Like there's this all these places in New York City that you could just like walk around and see.
yeah.
And they're just like, oh, it's cold outside, you know, why don't you come over? And I don't want a guy to hold a frame in a relationship unless I get to know him, you know, and they're not giving me enough time for me to get to know them, because they're just like trying to put me in situations where they can have the frame. And like I know what they're doing, because like
What is
it
the
is
frame?
predatory frame where they have power over a situation. I can
Okay.
Google it. I don't think that's the like correct definition, but like, you know, I don't put myself alone in cars with guys that I meet
Yeah.
for the first time. I take
Okay.
an
I see.
Uber, you
Yeah.
know, like I'm not gonna go to their house and they're just like, why don't you come over? Why don't I pick you up? And I'm just like, because you can pick me up, lock the door, and pull out your dick. Then what I'm supposed to do, you know?
Yeah,
Or like, do you want to come
exactly.
on my boat? Like, go on your boat in the middle of the ocean? Like, no, I'm not going to do that on the first date. And I've had like very like, because I consider myself to be an unattractive woman. I know that I shouldn't put myself down, but like I've had guys like since coming out about my diagnosis. I don't know if it's because like they want to like, you know, tell their friends or whatever, but I've
Uh,
had like really attractive guys like you know, try to talk to me and say, "Oh, I'm gonna take you out on my boat," or like, "I'm gonna fly you out," and I'm just like, "No, I don't know you. Why would I get on a plane to go meet a stranger that I don't know? I don't know what your living situation is like. I don't know who's going to be there. Why would I do that?" And all these
yeah.
girls on Instagram are talking about, "Oh, I'm getting flown out. I'm getting this. I'm getting that." You don't know what's happening when that happens, you know? Like, and a lot of these girls are like getting raped or like being paid to do like horrible things. And
Yeah.
then they're like, "Oh, I went to LA or I went to Germany or I went to London." I'm like, okay, but what did you do in those countries? Like, yeah. So I think if I do get a boyfriend, well, not if, hopefully when I do get a boyfriend, you know, and that turns into, you know, husband, I would prefer to be with a guy that is unconventionally attractive or ugly,
Mm,
because I feel like, you know, it's what's in the heart and what's in the mind that matters. Because a lot of these like, you know, attractive men, like they play so many, you know, mind games. And I think for a girl that maybe they online, I probably look very desperate and very sad and very pathetic. And then when they talk to me and they realize like, oh shit, she's not as dumb and, you know, desperate and pathetic as I thought she was. It like you said, like people are comfortable. I don't know. Sorry, I forgot what you said, but like people are comfortable with like, you know, their perception of like how they think you are and whatever. And then when they meet you and they're not, because he was like, "Oh, I'll fix your teeth." I'll get you veneers, come to a lot of guys come to California. And I'm like, okay, can I get to know you? If you really like me, you would pursue me. You would, pursue, provide, and protect.
Mhm.
Like I'm not going to go somewhere for some guy that says that he's gonna fix my teeth when like he's not willing to talk to me for like more than a week without me sending him a picture of my vagina or my titties or my butthole. Like, and I'm not gonna do that. That's what they want. They're like, oh well, we've been talking for a few days now. Can I get a picture of your titties? I'm just like a few days. And you want a picture of my mammary glands. I don't know you. Where is this picture gonna go?
Yeah.
What like in my mind, what's gonna happen is he's gonna be like, haha, look what I got this bitch to send me, you
Mhm.
know, oh, look at her titties, look at her pussy, look at her asshole. Like, and my friend, this guy that I used to be friends with, he was like, wow, like, do you have a lot of male friends? And I was like, no, I don't. He's like, that's exactly how those conversations go. Like the girls that send them these nudes, they when they're hanging out with their friends, they show their friends these nudes. And I didn't even know that that's how what happens or whatever. And then he was just confirming my fears or whatever I thought. And I was like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't send pictures like that because that's what would happen. But it sucks because I've seen as like hit the wall because in like I hate like honestly I wish I was a lesbian because like dealing with like heterosexual straight men is like very annoying. Because they think like, oh, you're in your 30s, you've hit the wall,
Wow.
oh, and you're fat, like, oh, and you're dark skinned. It's like I have the trifecta of bullshit that guys don't like or whatever. And just because you say that I hit the wall, that means that I have to send you pictures of myself naked. That doesn't make any sense to me. And there's girls that do that, and that's fine. And if they feel comfortable that's doing that, that's 100% fine. I'm not knocking anyone that sends nudes to people that they like online. But like the fact that they don't think, because I've also seen videos of girls crying when guys post their nudes online, because these are not like OnlyFans girls. These are just like regular girls that are like me, where they're not conventionally attractive, they're overweight, they might have autism, they might have PTSD, they have some type of mental health issue or, physical health issue. One girl in a wheelchair, she sent complete nudes with her face included to some guy that was like, yeah, I love you, I this, I that. And then he showed it to his friends, like, oh, look at what I got this bitch to send me, so it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And it sucks because maybe there are guys that like would date me if I did that, and maybe they wouldn't send it to their friends or post it online. But like, how am I supposed to know that? Like, they're like, it's not like it was because my mom told me, she was like, oh, because I'm trying to rebuild my relationship with my mother now. And like, she kind of is acknowledging that she is a bit of a narcissist and she's trying to get help or whatever.
No
But like, my
judgment
mom,
from me. I have a relationship with my dad.
yeah. Does your dad have a narcissist?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. Is there a correlation between having ASPD and having narcissistic parents?
I think so, yeah. I
There,
mean,
yeah.
I just have met a lot of people. Because imagine how do you get to the place where you feel like you can't develop like a normal sense of self, you know? It could be kind of a genetic thing. It could be like some other environmental thing, like you got sick at the wrong time as a child or something and that disrupted your whatever, or like your brain's a little bit different or other things happened to you or you got abused or it could be like various things, but like I think often like it would be difficult for me to imagine like people who had a narcissistic parent just being like completely fine. Just being like, I'm
Yeah,
good,
that's actually funny.
no issues there.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually I've also seen a correlation not just with people with, ASPD having narcissistic parents, but also having digestive issues where they
Mm,
have like IBS or they have Crohn's or they have acid reflux. And I don't know if it's from like the stress of like masking, because
mm,
like I do believe that antisocial personality disorder and people that are on the spectrum of antisocial personality disorder are neurodivergent, just like people that
yeah.
have autism, just like people that have ADHD. Like I think probably 40 years, not even 40 years, maybe like 5, 10 years from now, people will have a better understanding of this disorder because people used to think gender was binary. And now we know that gender is on a spectrum. People thought that autism was just, high functioning, low functioning. and only the low functioning people were getting diagnosed. The high functioning, they called it Asperger's,
Yeah.
people with Asperger's back then. They were like, okay, you're fine. You're just a little autistic, no therapy needed for you. And these people would like end up killing themselves in their 40s and 50s because they even like I'm high functioning autistic, I guess functioning sociopath, high functioning autistic, but even I have support needs. They might be I don't have high support needs as someone that's low functioning autistic, but I have support needs still. Um, and I think this disorder will, people will have a better understanding of it when more people come out of the closet about it. I think a lot of people are just walking around undiagnosed with ASPD and they're just thinking, oh, well, like, I just don't feel that much,
Mm.
or maybe there are people on the extreme end of the spectrum, especially men, because I feel like it's a lot easier to live with this disorder as a female because it's easier to like mask. And also, a lot of women don't really hurt people physically. Like
Yeah.
women hurt people mentally, emotionally, spiritually, but not really like physically. And the reason I think more men are diagnosed is because men hurt, people physically. So you could be like, oh my gosh, he did that. Like he's a fucking sociopath, psychopath, or whatever. But like there are women, and this is like so crazy because like I used to talk to this girl and she would talk to guys online, get them to fall in love with her, and then be like, oh, I can't be with you. I have a husband, So she'd be like in these like mini and like her husband was like, oh, it's okay, like you're just talking to guys, it's fine. And I'm like, dude, what the like how are you okay? But she was just talking to guys, she wasn't meeting them in real life. But like these guys didn't know that she was married, they didn't know that she was in a relationship and that she had a child. So yeah, like there are women that have these traits, but it's not really obvious, or like someone I recently, when I was in Florida, I was going to church with a girl and she told everyone, she was like, oh, Cassandra's a fucking sociopath. And I was working in the the soup kitchen, right? And like they're like, oh, like and she's been feeding like homeless people, like who knows what she's been doing to the food. And all I could think was like, what is wrong with you? Like she was like, well, why are you doing this job if like you can't feel anything? And I'm like, I don't have to feel anything to in order to help people. Like I just need to like help people, and like they had a camera everywhere and they reviewed like they kicked me out from the soup kitchen, which was like, wow, okay. And they reviewed all the footage and they're like, no, she wasn't doing anything. Like you were the one that was on your phone and not really like doing anything, so like because I was more like harder working than her, she didn't understand that. She was like, oh,
Mm.
you don't get anything out of this, because like she's posting pictures of herself, at the soup kitchen helping people. Everyone's like, oh, she's like a really good person. She's working at the clothing pantry and the food pantry, and she's like posting pictures of herself helping people with food and stuff like that, quoting Bible scriptures and stuff. I didn't post myself doing any of that. Like recently I posted myself helping a homeless woman just to prove to people that like I do mental health advocacy work, because they wanted proof, right? But yeah, she was like she couldn't understand that because she did it for like likes on like the gram, and I did it because like I don't know, I don't want to go to hell. Like
Mm.
I feel I'm scared almost that I'm going to go to hell. But then also my new, the therapist that I have recently, she was like, "Of course you think most people are pieces of shit because you've experienced pieces of shit as a child."
Yeah.
You know, like I'm like she was like, "I'm surprised that you haven't done, any of the demented, sick, like fucked up things that was done to you, because like you would actually, and I don't think anyone would be justified hurting other people, but like having like sick fucked up shit happen to you as a kid, and then saying I'm going to abstain from sex until I find someone that loves me. Usually women that go through what I go through go in the opposite direction, and that's no fault, to them or whatever, but they go into porn, or they, do OnlyFans, or they just like fuck a lot of guys because they're like, well, I don't care. Like, this is my body. People, violated me, and I'm gonna, go into sex work because at least I'll get paid for it, and that's fine. But when people, like me, or say like, oh, okay, well, I'm just gonna abstain from it until I can find someone else. I'm the crazy one. Like if someone until I can find someone to love me, they're like, oh, like what's wrong with you? Like why aren't you out there? Just do a hookup, see how you feel. Maybe you'll feel something. And I feel like I don't know how it is for most people, but like I feel like if I were to hook up, it would just be like I would just be skipping all the steps. Like I want to feel connected to someone. So instead of like building an emotional connection or a mental connection or, a romantic connection, which the mental connection is pretty much all I need. But instead of trying to, get to know them and, do it in the way that makes sense to me, people just skip all those steps and they go straight to sex because they're feeling lonely. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm fucking lonely, but I'm not gonna just be like, I'm lonely, who wants to fuck me? Because then it's like, that's just fucking. That's not making love. And like these guys are out here saying, "Oh, fem cells aren't real. It's just not a real thing because like girls can get dick, like anyone could get fucked." And so there's some people that tell me they're like, "You're fuckable. You have big lips. You have big boobs. You have a big butt. Anyone would fuck you." And I'm like, I don't want to be fucked. I want to be made love to, you know. So it's just like it's crazy to me when like if I call myself ugly and the first thing people go to is like, I guess, features that people pay money for. Like people pay money for lips, tits, and ass or whatever. And it's like, well, that's not
You
what
mean
I'm
like in
saying.
plastic surgery, right? Like people pay
Yeah,
money
yeah,
to,
yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, yeah, there are people that have that naturally or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, when I call myself ugly, that's immediately what people go to like make me feel better about myself. Like that guy that I was on a date with, like he complimented me on those things. And I'm like, okay, and I think you're really smart and you smell really good. And then he got mad because he was expecting compliments that were physical because he gave
Mm,
me physical compliments
interesting.
when yeah, and it's like I complimented on him on things that I actually respect and find attractive about him,
Yeah.
you know, but he wanted me to probably say something about his height, like he was really tall or whatever. And it's like, no, because that stuff kind of doesn't really matter to me. What matters is like, you know, first of all, I'm like, because of my autism or just in general, I don't like bad smells.
Mm.
That's one thing about living in the hood that like also makes me really angry is that my building smells like weed. And I don't like the
Uh,
smell of weed. So
okay.
I have like 12 Glade plugins, like all around. And I have the ones that you put on the wall, like the spray and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, like he was mad and he was like, well, I gave you a compliment on, your physical attribute. I don't know how to say that word. I expected you to give me the same compliment. And then I was like, well, like that's not what I see when I'm interested in a guy or, like I don't look at like, okay, what does he look like? I look, okay, what does he do for work? Like can he, provide for me? Can he protect me? Does he like me? And I'm sorry, I know this sounds like old school, but like I'm Christian. Like I know the black fingernails like is like, oh, gothic or whatever, but like I identify as Christian. So like yeah, like I fall more into like the gender roles or whatever, even though like I like for example, like um I think the church should accept LGBT people and trans people. And then there's some people in the church that are like, oh, no, we shouldn't do that. And I'm just like, who the fuck are you to judge on people on how they love?
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
people should be able to love whoever they want to love, So I don't know, but it's hard. Like being, Christian, autistic, sociopath, you don't even, hear that every day and then like trying to date and like trying to not be a femcel, but also, just wanting, I'm not even saying I'm waiting until marriage to have sex because obviously I'm not a virgin. Like my virginity was taken from me. I didn't have like a choice or whatever. But like I would like to choose like who I consensually have sex with, So it's like sorry if I'm like talking too much or like not making sense.
No, you're
I don't
making all
think
the
that
sense in the
much.
world, and you're not talking too
Yeah.
much. I mean, it's interesting to kind of hear your perspective about these things, and I don't know. I think that these are like true issues or something, and I think that it's great that you're shining light on like not just the issues specific to sociopaths, but exactly what you say, like Christian sociopath, like
Yeah, yeah,
heterosexual, yeah, femcel, etc. Like
yeah,
these are
no.
just kind of your things, and I think it's like you used a word that I haven't heard before, support needs,
Oh yes,
and
Courtney.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I think, I
yeah,
think a lot of people sometimes kind of get feel like some type of way when other people are like, here are the things that I need, like, well, like a lot of people don't get what they need or whatever, like
yeah,
I feel like that's often a reaction. And sometimes I think, why are we kind of being like trying to shame people about some of that stuff? Like you have you have your specific kind of way of interacting with the world, and it's everybody has I guess like the world changes, like everybody has to like learn to relate to the world. And I think that
hmm
it's good. I was telling you before about how I'm taking a bass class, upright bass, and one of the comments that he said is like, bring the bass to you, like why are you leaning towards to the bass?
hmm
And I often think
yeah,
that we should do that more with the world, like bring the world to you. Like why am I constantly accommodating to the world? Maybe there are more people like me where it makes more sense to bring the world to us, like
yeah,
the
yeah. I
world is
do.
just arbitrarily the way it is. It doesn't always make sense or something.
Exactly, exactly. And I was trying to talk to my mom about this. Like my mom told me that my problems are first world problems. And I was just like, no, there are women that are going through the same things I'm going through because I see women that make TikTok. Like, I do TikTok India, TikTok Africa. Like I look at women in all different parts of the world.
Mm,
And yeah, there's a woman that went to jail for killing her husband. He
mm,
married her when she was a child. She had so many, children for him. And eventually she just couldn't do it and she killed him. And in the interview, they're like, well, how do you feel? Like, why, do you regret killing him? And she was just like, no, no. Like he took advantage of me when I was a child.
yeah,
I had, children when I was a child. And once I became an adult and I realized what was happening, like I viewed this person as a monster, and I didn't want
yeah,
my children to have a father that was a monster. And she's currently labeled a sociopath. She lives in Africa, and everyone is like, no, like they locked this woman up for killing her rapist, and they're calling her a sociopath.
yeah.
Like, no, she just couldn't deal with it anymore. Or women in India, they're having their own like feminist movement over there. And there are a lot of women that are like, no, like I, on the autism spectrum, or I am this or I'm that. And then people are like, well, you're a woman, so get married and have children. And it's just like people are different, and not just people are different, but people have different mental health issues. And just because someone lives in the first world or the third world, that shouldn't make their mental health issues any less valid. Like people have support needs, and support needs isn't like a first world problem. There are women all over the world that are not getting their needs met, whether that be mental health needs or just like basic human needs of like shelter and safety and water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they develop psychopathy also, but I think there's a difference between sociopathy and psychopathy. Like sociopathy are people that develop this disorder, through traumas of society, and then psychopathy has to do with like the mind, the soul, because like things like psy is like study of the mind, the soul,
Mm-hmm.
psychiatrist. Yeah, so I don't know like if they're, sociopaths, psychopaths. Like sociopaths are they say made and psychopaths are born. Like they're just born like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say I'm a sociopath, I'm not a psychopath. Yeah, but I agree with you on that.
Oh no, the phone fell.
Like, oh no. Okay. All right. We're good now. Sorry. And I apologize if I pronounce anything wrong. Cause I grew up in the Caribbean and the South. So
Mm,
it's like some things I say are like Southern, some things I say are Caribbean. But I'm trying to like have American dialect.
yeah, I don't know, I haven't noticed anything.
Okay. Um, but yeah, I think it's amazing that you wrote a book and hopefully like you are able to like practice. Well, you said you still practice law.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, like because this I don't think people should be discriminated against, like the differently sentient. I don't know how to say it, like discriminated against based on the way that their brain is wired. Like to be a bad person, you have to do bad things. You know, you
Mm.
can't just think bad things to be a bad person. You actually have to do bad things to be a bad person. And I think that's the difference between like someone like me that like has like, you know, negative intrusive thoughts and like someone that actually acts on their negative intrusive thoughts. Because like I'm trying to get help for it because like I don't want to be, you know, a person that walks around and thinks about, you know, people, you know. So like yeah, I want to like one day like I mean technically my diagnosis is autism, alexithymia, and traits of ASPD. So yeah, just want to be like happy and positive one day and feel positive emotion. That would be great. Or even like honestly, I would date another autistic sociopath. I would. As long as he wasn't I don't think I don't know though. Men are different though. Not all men, but like as long as he didn't cheat on me or, you know, manipulate me. But I think two people that have ASPD that are in a relationship, they'd probably like, you know, test each other or like maybe if they're not on the same level IQ wise, probably like, you know, try to like manipulate each other. So like I don't know how that would go, but I think I would be like more comfortable with someone that has my diagnosis because then they'd understand me and I'd understand them. But I don't know.
It will be interesting to see.
It would be because I used to just want to like be with someone that looked like Steve Urkel. Like for a long time, like Steve Urkel was like my if I found someone sexy who would look like Steve Urkel.
Like the
And
young
then like
version or like the actor now all grown up or whatever?
a version of him when he was with Laura. So like I think he was like 18, 19, 20, 21.
Uh,
Yeah. I guess like I'm in my 30s, so like I guess 30-year-old Steve Urkel. But now like I'm open to guys that look like Steve Urkel or Sheldon. Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory.
uh-huh.
Yeah, 'cause like there are like so few like black male intellectuals. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna like open it out more so that I don't die alone.
I bet you're not gonna die alone.
Oh my gosh. I that is my fear,
Uh-huh.
actually, if I do have a fear, because I've been alone for 30 years now. So I keep on thinking like, oh my God, like another 30 years by myself, like how am I gonna survive? Like what am I gonna do when I get old and like, you know, I start losing my memory or like I start, you know, physically declining. Like I would like someone, you know, partner in life to like pick up the slack or whatever. And I would like to make a baby, you know. And some people are like, well, why? Like, how do you know that you're gonna love the baby? And like, I don't know, I just want to like give. I think since I didn't really have a childhood, I didn't get to like be a child, you know. As far as like being innocent and blah blah blah. Like, I would like to like you know have a child and like give them the best you know childhood that they can you know have or whatever. Like I don't want to say I want to live through my child or whatever, but I don't know, because that would be a bit narcissistic, but like I definitely would probably be a helicopter mom if I did have a kid, just because like I don't know, I want to have a kid, but I want to have a kid like in a healthy dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if that will like I do feel like I'm gonna die alone because I am not like stereotypical, you know, pretty girl. And it would be a lot easier if I were, because then maybe I can find a man that is attracted to me that doesn't just want to you know, what's it called? Hit it and quit it. Yeah. Like maybe I find someone that would actually like it and stay, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that guy that I had the long distance relationship with, like I met him twice and I was like, oh, this is gonna be something. And then he was like, okay, this is our anniversary. We've been together for a month. And he wanted to like hook up and I was just like, "Ah, no, like if you really love me, you will wait one more month, I promise you." And I was gonna really like if he waited one more month, I was like, okay, let's make love, let's be together, you can be my boyfriend. But he was like, no, I'm not gonna wait one more month for you. Who are you? I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't want to be used, you know, because I spent most of my life being used for sex. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever find anyone that will like be willing to be with a woman that doesn't know if she's capable of love or whatever. But it's not like I wouldn't be loving them because like I know women, with ASPD that have husbands that they literally don't know the difference because like they have sex with their husbands almost every day and they make food for their husbands and they cook and they clean and like this lady, she's like, yeah, like I'm with him because he gave me this beautiful baby, and like that was her goal, she wanted that and she got that and she's doing what she can to maintain that. And like he's like, she's like, well, I don't love you in the neurotypical way. And he's just okay. And I was like, oh, that's actually goals. Like it doesn't sound perfect or whatever, but yeah, like I would love to find someone that would be like, yeah, it's okay that you will not love me in a neurotypical way. I will still protect, provide, for you and, make you, my wife or whatever. Yeah. And I'm fine with going 50-50. When I say like provide or whatever, it's just like coming from like, that stupid heteronormative like Christian thingy. But like I'm willing to go 50-50 for someone that was like willing to like get married and have kids. But that's the thing, a lot of guys don't want to get married and have kids anymore because of, they see their parents get divorced and they're just like, well, I don't want to get divorced like my dad. Or I don't want to like be a single mom or whatever, women or men, have for not getting married. um I don't know why marriage is important to me because it's like why would you marry someone that you don't love? Like why would marriage be important to you if you don't know what love is? And I think it was important kind of because of that, like just because like I there's not the emotion there, so I feel like I need that like ring to like have that like I don't know, like stability or something. But there are people that are stable that don't have rings. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. We can yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully, I don't end up the next 30 years by myself. Like I thought about it and I'm like, if I'm 60, I obviously do not have any plans to do this, but if I'm 60, oh my gosh, and if I'm 60 years old, never had a boyfriend, I think then I'm just gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna take a boat and go to the sea and just yeah,
Yeah.
yep, live my life on water by myself. Because that's how the ending of that show Dexter was, where he just like took his
Oh,
boat into the sea. I'm just like,
uh-huh.
okay, I'll just do that and just be alone.
I
Anyways,
used
this is going depressing. I'm so sorry.
No, it's not depressing. I used to have fantasies about like being a hermit or something, being like, okay, I'm done. It's been a while though since I've had a fantasy about being a hermit. So I kind of want to be like, look, I think that it's not just like better things on your horizon, but there are different horizons, better horizons for you than the one that you currently see.
I hope so. And I tried like I pray about it and I try to be positive, but just like all the dates that I've gone on, and I know that the problem is me. I don't think the problem are the guys. I think it's me because I they're not used to like someone with so many boundaries and so many rules and it's probably annoying, but like I have my rules and my boundaries for a reason. And I mean, I know that I should probably instead of like waiting 2 or 3 months, I should probably just like give it a month. But like someone could lie to you for a month.
No,
People can
easily.
pretend to be yeah, yeah, like people can pretend like when I was in my early 20s, I was a babysitter and I wore all pink and I was happy every single day and like no one knew that I had ASPD, but usually after like I would be able to mask for like a month or two and then I would just like lose it, and then they would be like, yeah, you gotta go. I can't take care of my kid anymore. And I wasn't even getting paid. Like I was just doing it to like live in really nice neighborhoods. So like, yeah, a guy can meet me and pretend to be everything that I want for a month, especially since I'm making YouTube videos saying what I want. Yeah, he
Mhm.
could just watch a YouTube video and be like, yeah, I'm gonna be like this, then I'm gonna, fuck her and never talk to her again. So like, yeah, I think I have the 2 3 month rule for a reason, but I don't know. No one has last those months. So yeah, I have never consensually had sex, which is sad to say, but it is what it is. Hopefully I meet someone, but then it's like, you're a sociopath. Why do you care? Why do you care if you die alone? I don't know. know. Why do you think I care? I don't know why I care. I don't know why I care. Because you don't want to die alone, right? So why do you care about having your girlfriend?
Well, so I think that, with kind of like the sense of self thing, it's not as if like there's no self there. Like it's just that I'm not connected to it. So I think that like you being kind of like a primate kind of species. You're a member of a primate species, right? Homo sapiens or whatever. Like Homo sapiens are uh they're they're like, what do we say, kind of tribal or whatever. They're social. Like we are social creatures, social living things, right? We have these kind of predispositions through whatever like means that we've acquired them. And just because you're kind of not connected to other people in kind of the same way doesn't mean that it's sufficient to just be, to not have it. Like I think about there's this like small child on Instagram who has this disorder where she is like an extremely picky eater, right? And people are always like, just eat the cheeseburger about her or whatever. And it's not like her body doesn't need calories. It does need calories. It probably needs broccoli, or it needs
Yeah.
like something, it needs the nutrients that are in broccoli, but she has like a hard time whatever. So I think of that, like just because have like difficulty accessing emotions, or difficulty accessing the connection that you have with other people doesn't mean that it's not there. Like you probably sense it in different ways. I definitely felt that way with self-expression. It's just because I didn't have like an idea about who I am, had a hard time answering questions like, what is it like to be me, for instance?
Mhm.
Didn't
Yeah, that is a
mean
hard question.
Yeah, it didn't mean that there was nothing there. Obviously I'm in some ways the same person I've been this whole time. There's still things that are so similar about like kind of, through themes, through the decades of my life or whatever, and preferences that I've maintained, and all these different things that I could say, are me. And I just feel differently about them now because I feel connected to them and feel like when I say a part of me, I have like a kind of a more concrete sense of what me means. So I like to think of, like if you're seeking connection, I don't think that's unusual. I don't actually think there's any disorder in which people don't seek connection at all, don't have like any any
Uh,
need to associate with humans at all. In fact, the one way that we punish people that we think is actually probably too cruel, even more than death, is solitary confinement.
yeah, yeah. Social isolation. That's what I'm feeling currently, because there's no third space. Like okay, I don't know if I had finished this start like probably probably an hour ago, but my mom was saying that if she had me early in life, then she believes I would have had someone by now,
Mm,
just because there were more places and opportunities for people to meet people, than there are now.
mm,
And also, and
mm,
I do believe that one of the reasons why I am single and why other women that identify as female incels are single is because of the availability and the access to pornography that a
mm.
lot of men have. I've
Yeah.
talked to guys that said that they would rather watch porn than have sex with a girl in real life. And I was like, well, why? And he was like, because there's no fear of rejection. You could, do whatever as far as the VR goggles are concerned. You could watch whatever, what is it called? Like first person, point of view or
Yeah.
whatever, where, you can. So I was like, wow. And yeah, there's no fear of rejection. I think like, wow, like men are so afraid of getting rejected that they're not even trying anymore. And because a lot of young, men in their 20s and 30s stop trying, as a result,
Huh.
there are female incels. There are women that will probably never have a long-term relationship.
Mm,
And a lot of like people are investing in cat food and like sex toys and stuff, like they're investing their money as far as stocks go, because there was like prediction that like in I think they said 2030 or 2040, like about half of the women in America will be single.
Mhm.
And you could I will find the link to that and I'll send it to you by like because that's actually like a real thing that people were noticing, people investing in. And yeah, like it's so sad because it is true. Like a lot of the men that I probably would have dated, or maybe I would have had several relationships, or maybe even had a husband by now. Those men that are compatible with me have given up on trying to find a woman, and they
Mm.
have OnlyFans subscriptions. They bought a VR headset, they have an AI girlfriend, and they have a fleshlight, and
Yeah.
they're fine with doing that. They find that it's easier to do that than to find a woman that's also compatible with them, because there
Yes.
are a ton of socially awkward men that have traits of ASPD or alexithymia or autism or whatever, that me and a lot of other women also have. And instead of trying to find their female counterpart, as far as, that goes, they rather give up. And back then in the 80s and the 90s, there wasn't a substitute for the real thing. There wasn't VR headsets. There wasn't sex, toys for men. There wasn't OnlyFans girls that you can text and that will text you back. There wasn't AI girlfriends. So guys, they had to go out and like, try to meet women in real life because they didn't have anything to replace that need. And now guys have something to replace that need. And like what I find, and a lot of women are not talking about this, there is a female loneliness epidemic
Mm.
of like women that are subscribing to like men's OnlyFans, and buying sex toys, and like having AI boyfriends, and like talking to guys on Tinder and talking to guys on Bumble and just never meeting them. They have, a long distance boyfriend, or they have an online boyfriend that they have for like their emotional needs. The real guy in real life, and they just like have no intention of meeting him because they don't want to be rejected, because they have like a lot of these girls, they take pictures like this, and that's fine. But like I said, my friend that's my ex-friend that's like 300 something pounds, she would take her pictures like this. She would have a filter, she would wear a lot of makeup, and she would have, her boobs out, and she would look beautiful in pictures. And then if you're video chatting with her, like we are now, you'd see that like, oh, okay, like she doesn't look like her pictures, but she's not catfishing technically because she's using pictures of herself, but she's catfishing as herself because she's manipulating these pictures as much as possible, and she knows that she's manipulating the pictures, which is fine. But then that she's afraid to meet a guy in real life,
Wow.
so she just has, online boyfriend, long distance boyfriend, and she's on, Reddit, or she's on Discord identifying as a femcel when she has like 5 or 6 dudes that she's talking to on Bumble, OkCupid, Tinder, Plenty of Fish, Match.com, but she's afraid to meet them because they don't know, that she, you know, is catfishing as herself, so it sucks, what's going on as far as, the fem cells, the incels, and just neurodivergent people in general. Because I feel like, yes, neurotypical people have these same issues that I have as far as like, being single and lonely. And like, as a result of being single and lonely, that triggering my ASPD. Like, obviously, that is not good. And, thank God that I do have a, therapist, psychiatrist. Thank God that I live in the first world and I
Mm.
don't have to end up I didn't end up like that woman in India or that woman in Africa, because they're both in jail right now, because they felt like murder was their only option out of their situations.
Mm.
And I have a therapist to talk to, I have medication to take, I have a church to go to. So I have different outlets, for, the way that I feel to try to, help me, prevent me or whatever from going over the edge, thank God. But I don't think like my problems, being a femcel or having autism or ASPD, I don't think that's like first world problems, because people are like, why are so many people, autistic, or why are so many people coming out as being sociopaths? Is because we have access to medical care that we didn't have access to before, like I currently am on, Medicaid or whatever. So like I have a very low copay when I see the doctor, when I see the psychiatrist and stuff. But like a couple of years ago, like, people if they wanted a psychiatric evaluation, they would probably get it after, doing something illegal and ending up in prison and then seeing a prison psychiatrist
Yeah.
or losing their mind and then ending up in a mental hospital and seeing a, psychiatrist in the mental facility or like I actually ended up homeless and seeing a psychiatrist in a homeless facility and then being like, oh yeah, you have autism at 25 years old, and people are thinking, oh, like what is up with all these late diagnosed autistics? And it's like because people understand that autism is a spectrum. Like people now understand that antisocial personality disorder is a spectrum. Can be religious and have ASPD, like they're, well, how can you believe in God if you feel nothing? I think that's like more of a reason to believe in God, For me, anyways, it is. Like even though like I don't feel like, love, I don't feel that, like, oh, I love you, like if I were to have a husband or like just what is it called? Emotional connection. Like, like I would still want a husband, And you're right, because people don't want to be alone. Like who the fuck wants to be alone? Like
Hmm.
that's what they do to people to to punish them. They put
Yeah.
them in the room by themselves and not have them have any interaction with people. And I think society is doing that like not intentionally. But like to people like me, male men and women like me that are socially awkward, that don't really have a tribe of people, because like I can't really connect to other women because like honestly I it's annoying. It's annoying to have to, uh do hair and put on makeup and put on a bra and match clothing. Like it would be much easier if I were a man. Like I wish that I could be a man. I'm not transgender, but I'm just saying like it would just be way easier. um I don't identify with being a female. I don't identify like even like being like a black woman. Like yes, I'm proud to be a black woman, but it's like I chill with other black people and they're just like, oh, this new Cardi B song is fire, and I'm just like, yeah, it's fire, it's so good, and then they're playing it and I'm just like, okay, I feel nothing, but I'm just going to pretend that I like it because I don't want people to know that I'm different because then they're going to treat me like shit. And I don't live in a nice area. I need people to like me. I need people to not fuck with me because there are people, I'm not going to say like everyone in my neighborhood hates me or whatever. There's some people in my neighborhood that are so kind to me, because they know that I struggle or whatever. But like I do chill with them and listen to music with them and like hang out with them. And if I didn't do that, then yeah, they'd probably be like, "Ah, she thinks she's all that." But like, yeah, I don't feel anything when I listen to music. I just have to be like, oh yeah, this is good. Yeah, like it's just food is one of the few things that like brings me any joy. It's like one of the few things that makes me feel anything, and that's definitely not good because I'm overweight, because I eat too much food, but like food is like it makes me feel better. Like even when I was younger, like when I was a child and like my dad and my mom were arguing, like my dad would like give me candy or he would give me cookies and he'd be like, okay, go in your room. And I would be just be eating candy, eating cookies, trying not to pay attention to them, yelling and whatever. So it's like food has always been a comfort for me, and to like having to like not have food in my life. Like if I was gonna be like, you know what, I'm gonna be a skinny bitch and I'm gonna lose all this weight and be a skinny legend and go on Ozempic and this and that, I think I'd probably be in a darker place. Um, so yeah, like I don't know. I don't know. It sucks living in a world where you don't have a sense of self. And right now, I'm myself more than I would usually be, but that's only because I'm tired. Like I only got 3 hours of sleep because the lady downstairs was like blasting music. So yeah, but I usually try to like feed off of other people's personality. And right now, it's harder to mask when I don't get enough sleep. It's harder to mask my ASPD because when I first moved to New York and I was staying at my aunt's house, I was able to like mask for like a day or two. And then like after a day or two, like it like I would just be like, monotone. I would just be like dull, and she'd be like, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" And
Mm,
I'd just be like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine." And then that's when I like started like having to. I'm not like a drinker or whatever, but I had to drink in order to like you know tend to be normal or whatever, so that she could not be afraid of me. Because I remember once, and I don't even know why I was doing this, but I was just like looking at her, but I didn't realize that I was looking at her. I was just like thinking about something else. And then she was like, "What is wrong with you? You okay?" Like,
mhm,
because my family's from Trinidad. She's like, "What's happening?" And I was just like, "Oh my gosh," because the probably not even the day, like hours before that, I was drinking in order to make her feel comfortable, and so that I didn't seem like a psycho. And then it's like, oh, I can't mask. I don't want to drink again. I'm in this house with her. So, okay, let me just like try to like not do anything weird. And trying to not do anything weird made her the most freaked out. And then she came to my face and she was like, "You want to start?" It's like getting all crazy. And I was just like, oh, in my mind, I'm just processing. She's trying to intimidate me because she feels uncomfortable because I'm doing something that's uncomfortable. And there's just like this misconception that like sociopaths like have no regard for people's feelings. And like in that moment, it's not that I didn't have a regard for her feelings, it's that I didn't understand her feelings. And she was coming from like a place that was like very emotional just because I was looking in her direction. She
yeah.
felt all types of emotions. And then I'm coming from a place of logic where it's like, I can't be myself around you and you're my family. I had to drink and I'm not even a drinker. And now like, I don't have the mental capacity to like deal with your bullshit. And I was just like looking at her yelling at me. And then she was like, "You need to get the fuck out." And I was thinking was like all I like in my mind, like all I did was look at her. And then she told my mom, she was like, "Oh, she needs to take more of her medication because she's just here looking at me and who knows what she's gonna do, who knows what she's thinking. She just have this blank look on her face." And I was just like, I don't know. I was probably thinking of like eating food or like what I'm gonna do to like I don't even know what I was thinking about, you know? But like she's making it all about her because like my behavior is not neurotypical and I'm aware of that. And I try to like, have neurotypical behavior and pretend to be neurotypical most of the time. But sometimes I just can't because I'm just so exhausted. And it's those times that I think like people like see the mask flipping and they're just like, what the fuck is happening? What is going on? And it's like nothing is going on. I'm not thinking about harming you. Like I'm not thinking about anything at all, actually. I'm just a blank like thing right now, and it's like, okay, well, like I've even had guys like back in the day, like when I was like, okay, I trust this guy. I'm gonna go to his house, right? Like I had guys and they're just like blah blah blah, trying to hit on me or whatever. And I'm just like, are you gonna rape me? Because it's like a thought in my mind. I'm just like, what is happening right now? And what if I did? And I'm like, well, then I'd have to call the police. Like, because I'm just thinking, okay, what is happening? I'm not like, oh my God, I'm so scared. And the guy, he was like, bitch, you're crazy. Get the fuck out, you weirdo. And it's like maybe it's a good thing that I was crazy because who knows if he was gonna rape me or not. I
Yeah.
wasn't like, but it's like,
It's a weird response to say, "What if I did?"
yeah, yeah, no, I believe that I like as an adult, like because I grew up with such abnormal situations and I was just like unsafe so many times that like maybe on some subconscious level I am attracted to people like that. But then when they're around me, like when, let's say people with predatory traits are around me and I'm unfazed, then that makes them like scared because they're like, I'm trying to intimidate you. Why the fuck aren't you reacting?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
just like, I've been there, done that. I don't have no more energy to like be intimidated.
Yeah,
Like if
no, no,
you're
no.
gonna kill me, then do it. Don't act like you're gonna do it. Fucking do it. And then they're like, oh, what the fuck? Like when I was in the shelter and this girl was like, I will beat the shit out of you. And I'm like, then do it. Stop trying to scare me because I'm scared, sick of being scared. If you're going to beat the shit out of me, beat the shit out of me. And she was like, oh, you think you could fight? You're bigger than me. Obviously, you can beat the shit out of me. Like I hate people that talk shit because it's like I have been in situations where I was thinking about killing someone that was actually like raping me, harming me, so it's like you're saying you want to beat me up, then beat me up as long as you're not going to kill me, you know and there's like, why would I kill you? I wouldn't put myself in jail for killing you, bitch. And it's just like they think like, oh, like she's acting like she's crazy or whatever. It's like, no, I've been through crazy. And that's why like I'm just unfazed now. You know? I don't know. It's just like it sucks because like I wish I could just like win the lottery and just like literally just live in the woods and not have to like interact with people.
But what you were
But
saying while you fix your phone, what you were saying about before about like how people get even more angry when you don't react. That's what happened in the prison visiting room. That's kind of like what I meant to convey is why did it
mhm.
escalate so much? Is because I didn't seem intimidated by her when she came at me. And so then it was like, "What? You think you can take me?" And then I was like, nothing. Like I think I probably said no, no, I don't think I can take you. And that was even worse. She was like
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
angry.
Yeah, and I think that's why people think that we don't oh, so sociopaths don't feel fear. It's like no, like a lot of us have felt fear for so long that that fear response in our brain it just like turns off after a while, It's like
Yeah.
okay, like I acknowledge that this can happen and yeah, it would suck if it happened, but like it's like if I was in that movie and the guy was coming at me with a knife or like saying, like I'm gonna shoot you, I would be like, okay, that's a better alternative than being beaten to death or tortured to death. Just
Yeah.
get it over with quickly. And I think that's the thing about people like you or people like me or anyone like that has this thought pattern that like scares neurotypical people is because like they automatically have this like fight or flight. And for me I think like that response in my brain, like yeah, sometimes it's an overdrive when like it doesn't need to be
No.
yeah, like so sometimes I'm just like, oh my god, they laughed at me, okay, I'm gonna put a hammer in my leather jacket, I'm gonna like I when I say like I walk around with weapons, like people think I'm talking about firearms. No, like I literally walk around with like tools like in my coat thinking like, oh my gosh, like if someone, tries to harm me, like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do A, B, and C to them. And that's like the OCD of just like having, that like fear response and like overdrive and then like it just like turning off and not even having it at all. Like I don't know what is wrong with my amygdala as far as like that all goes because I was just like, oh, it's just not working properly. Okay, that's another thing that's fucked up. I have a fibroid in my uterus and a cyst in my ovary and an amygdala that's not working properly. But you know what? I'm still going to be thankful because at least I'm able to walk. At least I'm able to, speak. Like I still have to be grateful or whatever. It just sucks because like I want to be in love. And if I'm, not in love, I want to have a boyfriend. I want to have a husband. And it's like I think the biological clock is real. I don't know if this
Oh, for
is it like
sure.
this with lesbians? Like, do you want to have a baby? Like, are there some lesbians that are like, I want to have a baby? Because like for me, it's the baby thing that's like driving me crazy. Like
Absolutely. My early 30s
yeah,
where I was like nuts. I was like, okay, I guess I'm freezing my eggs. Hopefully this will kind of like stymie some of this like urge to get pregnant.
yeah, yeah. I wanted to freeze my eggs, but it's just so expensive.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm hoping that I have a few good eggs left, but yeah, I think it's just the urge to like have a baby. Like I think that's what's like driving my urge to want a relationship.
Mm,
And yes, a woman can have a baby on her own. That's not a problem. But because of like I guess my religion or whatever, I would prefer to have like a partner, when having a child. Just because also like it would just be easier than raising a child by myself.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, like whenever I have like those scary thoughts, it's usually a result of like being bullied. Like I'm never the person that bullies. Like maybe like I don't know, in junior year, I was like, I'm gonna bully people. And then I was like humbled real quick. But yeah, like I was always like the person that got bullied and then like I remember one girl that bullied me and okay, so I can talk about this now because my therapist said it's okay. There's certain things that I can't talk about. But there was this one girl that bullied me, and I was getting so sick and tired of her. And I grew up in Brooklyn. I grew up in New York City, and I remember just like following her and then taking the train and then like seeing where she lived. And I did this for like a couple months, and I don't know, I didn't have any ill will towards her. I didn't have any ill intention towards her. Um, and then one time she was just bullying me, bullying me, bullying me. And I was like, you know, if you keep on doing this, I'm gonna tell your mom. She's like, bitch, you don't know what my mom looks like, blah, blah, blah. Because, like, we're going to school in Manhattan. She lives in Brooklyn. I described to her what her mother looks like. I described to her what her sister looks like. I was just like, because you can walk around, right? You can take the train. There's nothing illegal about that, right? And stalking, I'm not going to say I stalked her because I never, like, went into her apartment or, like, nothing like that. But like then like that made her back off. She was like, what? Like, how does she know this? You know, I think people like with this proclivity or whatever was probably good to have like during caveman days, because like the men and probably some of the women, I know female Vikings were a thing, like that was like, we're gonna protect the tribe because we can handle this.
Mm.
Like as far as, especially because one of the reasons why they marked down ASPDs, because like I was like, yeah, like predators should not exist. And I'm not going to say anything more than that. But like if this was like caveman days or whatever, and people are like, oh, we're going to go out and the predators, I'd be like, okay, I'll come with you guys. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I would literally do that and just like feel nothing. I would just be like, we made the village safer.
Mm.
Right. So like I think those types of people back then, like hundreds of years ago, obviously I would never do anything like that. And also like I'm a short, female. So like it's
Right.
not even like I could do something like that. But like I think back then, like I think people with this disorder were like needed for societies to function, because like it's like there, for example, there are so many veterans that are suffering from mental health issues, that are suffering from you know substance abuse issues because they killed people during the war and they don't know how to deal with that, and it's affecting them. And like if I were a person that went to war and it was a justifiable war and I wasn't like, killing women or children or whatever, and if it was like, clear enemy, like for example, like when we went over to, fight the Germans during, World War, I think it was World War II or whatever.
Mhm.
Like if they allowed women to fight back then, if they allowed Black women to fight back then, I would have went, like, and I would have definitely killed some Nazis, and I would have felt nothing. I would have been like, yes, we killed the Nazis that were, hurting the Jews and the Blacks and the gays and whoever they were, exterminating or killing or whatever word they used. Like, yeah, like I would fight in a war and I would kill them and I would feel nothing, because I would be like, okay, I'm protecting, society or whatever. But like, yeah, I mean, that's not a thing like anymore. Like people, well, I guess people that fight in war go through this, and I feel so sorry for them. Like I feel like it'd probably be better to like have people with ASPD fight war
Mhm.
than like people that are like empathic, because I feel like there are a lot of empathetic people that fight for their country because they love their country, they want to protect, people in their country, and then they come back from war and it like really messes with them because they
Yeah.
have to kill people, during war. And yeah, like it'd just be funny if there was like a just bunch of people with ASPD, because then you just like see the weirdest people going to war. Yeah, like that would be cool. Or um but anyways, I'm probably ranting. I don't know. Is it, am I,
No.
am I making sense?
Yeah, you are making sense, but I am getting like really blood sugar. I could tell my brain is
Yeah, yeah,
shutting
yeah.
down.
Yeah, you can go. But it was so amazing talking with
It's
you
so
and like,
amazing talking with you, and, I'm
yeah,
gonna be gone for a couple weeks or something, but I'd love to talk with you, like, in a few months or something, to catch up with you and to
okay.
keep talking. This has been, like, really incredible. I've loved so many of your stories and your thoughts and just kind of your different
Yeah.
experiences. It's been really enlightening. I really appreciate you coming to chat with me.
Thank you so much. And you're gonna send me the link thingy, right?
Yeah, send this, and so we'll have it on both YouTube channels or whatever.
Okay, thank you so much. And it was really great talking to you, and I apologize if I was talking too much. It's just like a great honor to talk to like another person that knows the type of stuff that I go through, because there's so few people that like truly understand, you know.
Yes, absolutely. I think in thank you so much for all the things that you do, for your advocacy, for everything that you're doing, helping people and being honest about this. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
All right, we'll
And I
chat soon.
appreciate you. Okay, bye bye.
I appreciate